Brother Marong, good afternoon. Another Sunday. It was last Sunday we prayed to the good Lord to give us the strength to come back again. And here we are. All we can do is thank you, Lord, for bringing us back. So how you been? How are things?
Things been great, and it's been raining continuously here. So, but as you said, praise to the Lord, man, for giving us the opportunity to witness another Sunday. So,
Definitely. Yeah, it's also kind of rainy over here. I mean, but Seattle, you guys must have gotten used to the rain. I mean, that's what you guys are known for.
yep.
It's like rain. You remember that elementary school song, "Rain, rain, go away,
Yeah.
come back another day." Little added something like to play. You remember that? Those nursery
Yes.
rhymes. Those are the good old days. Rain, rain, go away, come again another day. Little Tommy and I, he wants to play. Yes, another Sunday, of course. We are still going to be talking about what else? The Constitution. And we are hoping to have, we're looking forward to having NHRC Chairman, Emanuel Joof. They had this convergence, if you want to call it, different stakeholders at the Sadauda Conference Center. And we thought it would not be a bad idea to have him talk about how did it go. I mean, the thinking behind bringing all these stakeholders to hear from him. I mean, I was able to read some of his, some of supposedly their recommendation, and we thought it will be helpful for the conversation. So we're looking forward to having Mr. Joof. I like him. I like the guy. He is very, no doubt, very passionate with what he does, and also very knowledgeable. Passionate, knowledgeable, and at the same time, I really see him as what I would call, somebody who is really very independent when it comes to his approach. Something that is very scarce in our politics of today. Everybody wants to be on one side, and clearly, I mean, when you are talking about something that belongs to an entire people, an entire country, it is always good to kind of look at it from all angles and try to strike a balance. Why su fekkee ne like suma mbokki fana li ñoo wax ku nekk da ngay xataraayu. You know what xataraayu is, brother Maro?
That's not bad, though. I think it creates a space, though. It's not bad.
So
I mean, and I was laughing, man, and I was like, "Oh, there you go again, man, preempting, man, preempting."
And of course, we are also going to talk about other issues. UDP went to the Supreme Court. They didn't have it their way. That created a little bit of noise, people having their different ways of looking at it. It's really interesting to kind of flesh it out. I don't know where you're taking. Sani, now I'm looking at Badibunko coming from the Albert Market with him Sumbuya.
Today I went back. I went back home, man. I'm at Albert Market selling Fokajai. It's
I like
it's
it though.
Hamatan season. The wind is blowing, and I'm sitting right by my shop, man, trying to make
doing
it
your thing.
Yeah, doing my thing.
It looks good though. I like it. Hey,
And
did I
this is
tell you
original,
also?
original from Banjul, man. I'm
I
telling
like
you,
it.
it's
I like
really.
it. Mahana said that. So that's what they used to call it, but I think it's Sumbuya, something like that.
So Sumbuya, well,
Sumbuya,
And
right?
the farm was not, no matter how cold it is, man, you wear this thing, you know, you wear the
Yes,
real deal, man. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And hey, though, here in Atlanta, we're having a hell of a New Year's Eve party. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
bro. And a special invitation was extended to Sariang Maron and the newlywed Jainaba. You guys have to come with the grand entrance here in Atlanta. And you know, the good thing about it is, we always used to have New Year's Eve. Jera will organize it, you know. So, few years later, we thought it would be better if we kind of partner with. So we were partnering with the GCO, Gambian Christian Organization. So for the past, this was going all the way back to 6, 7, 8 years ago. Actually, it was during my term as chairperson that I thought, you know what, let's kind of extend a hand and collaborate with the Christians, and you know, and it was a success. And since then, for the past 10 years, we've been having it with them. This year, we have a new chairperson, Malik Senghor. He used to live in Dallas. He's been living in here in Atlanta for 12 years. A very able guy. So he said, you know what? Maybe we need to take it further. Let's bring in the Senegalese organization called Senkat. They're here with us. And then there is also another Senegalese Catholic organization as well. So for this year, you're looking at 4 entities, the entire community, and people are excited. So I said, hey, tell you what, let me sell special invitations to my people, you know? And so you have it, you know, Atlanta is your place, so don't miss it for the world. Now, the guy from Washington, I don't know. I'm going to Hamun Nakala. That's the thing. So, so I'm kind of holding back on my special invitation to him. This
The
guy,
DC guy.
huh?
I said the guy from DC.
The guy from DC, the activist, you know, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know whether I'll be extending any kind of invitation to him. But bro, it's gonna be nice. Hey, Tukulor C is back on for the people, by the people. And hey, we need to wish her a happy birthday. So 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Kulosi. Happy birthday
to Sister Jambu.
Yes, ma'am. Tukulor yalnga nekk di celebrate several birthdays in good health. Nga lekk sa njëriñi doom yi si daraja yonti Yàlla Muhammad si daraja Makka ak Medina.
No. Before I forget, another person, Umi Andrews, too, had a happy birthday. And
yes. This was last week, wasn't it? Yes. Umi Andrews, happy birthday. I'm going suma Umi Andrews, we went way back.
The sisters, Umi Andrews, and my niece Fatu Sane too was
Fatu Sane, yes. The one that lives here in Atlanta, right? Fatu Sane, somewhere outside of Atlanta.
Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's a different Fatu Sane. Or did she move? I don't know.
No, she used to live in Tennessee, but now she lives in.
Yes. That's the one. Yes, that's the one. Absolutely. Happy birthday to Fatu Sane as well. So, brother Maron,
I went home. I went to Albert Market, and I'm right there, and I'm trying to sell my Fokajai. So back to the Badibunka roots today. So Mufaramos.
Hey, my brother used to have like this big shop behind the Albert Market.
Yeah.
Right there. He's also into the Fogajai business and ball and the bunkers were all over the place too. I mean, that's their thing. I mean, go getter. The engine of the economy. I mean, but they still do that though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Mom Lisa, I don't think she ever left, but it's good to have you back. I'm a guy that wanna, they
She's
put me
a
in the.
she's a big trouble. She's a big troublemaker.
I know. And Ma'am Lisa, extending, I know you live in Miami, Florida. Special invitation to you. New Year's Eve here in Atlanta. Come here, now you're gonna debate. Fast. Dage. And I'm sending an invitation to the whole Barrow Must Go entourage. The Juka says, you guys are invited to Atlanta. So that you know fee my Jackalo again. And we can.
So how do you determine she's flying from Europe to come down and attend the New Year's?
Absolutely. Hey, man, that's what Atlanta is known for. People used to, the July 4th, and again, we're getting ready for July 4th, 2025. Bro, oh my God, a whole lot of things is waiting to happen. But anyway, talking about that, we also do have other partners. We come here every Sunday partnering with them. They are saying, look, we have to make a difference. Nothing happens in this world unless and until we all pitch in. And our partners are saying they're pitching in with us. We're going to start with going where? I'm a little bit hungry today.
Yeah,
so
you're going to Bronx,
bro.
Welcome to Kid Aisha Restaurant. We are located at 1460 Boston Road in the Bronx. We are open 7 days a week from 1 to 12 a.m. We serve Senegambian food and American soul food on Wednesdays and Senegambian food all 7 days. We do dining, we do takeout. We serve chebijin, chebiapa. We do mafe, we do plaza, we do ebe every other day. We have yassa ganat with rice, super kanja with white rice and fufu. We serve a lot of delicious foods. For dinner, we do dibi, chicken dibi, penta, whole chicken. We have shawarma, lots of good food. Also, offer catering services for weddings, baby showers, birthday parties, whatever you need. We got it here at Kid Aisha. You can call us at 718-450-8606. And we're also on Uber Eats. And if you've ever been to Kid Aisha, make sure you leave a review. Thank you guys for supporting, and we hope to see some new faces.
Definitely. I mean, good food. No doubt, good food. What is
New World International in its work to educate and sensitize overburdened communities regarding environmental justice. The meaning environmental justice is the idea that everyone should have equal protection from environmental risks and harms and equitable access to a healthy environment. NWI believes people should be meaningfully involved in decisions that affect the environment and human health. Here are some things you can do to help protect the environment. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Volunteer for cleanups. Conserve water. Shop wisely. Use long-lasting light bulbs. Plant a tree. New World International in collaboration with the Washington State Department of Ecology will help provide training and equipment to help document and end environmental abuses. If you have any questions, contact New World at www.newworldinterantional.org.
Thank you, New World, reminding us of our environment. The planet exists because of efforts and initiatives. We need to protect the environment. It's important. I know sometimes how we take it for granted, that it's always going to be here. Not necessarily. Not if we destroy it.
Welcome to the Gambia, a country with a rich tradition in tourism and a beacon for investors. Experience a nation committed to progress, a home where nature's beauty is matched by the warmth of its people. A nation that is fast-growing and developing, thriving for togetherness. At the heart of this development is the Global Properties, the Gambia's premier real estate developer. Introducing you to our latest property being developed, the Lakeview, an epitome of luxury and comfort. Whether you are looking for a residence or investment property, Lakeview is the ultimate option. The Gambia is not just a place to live, it's a place to thrive. Welcome home.
Hey, you, Global Properties. And I know December, we're here, Gambian semesters. We're all getting ready, heading to where else? Bathurst in the metro area. And what Global Properties is basically saying, call them, call Nilan. You will be able to have a nice studio apartment, and you don't have to stay at the hotel. In luxury, lights would never go off. You don't have to worry about NOEC. Hey, and not only that, if you stay there, they can also work with you to make you buy one of them. All you do is send a monthly. It can be an investment property. You cannot seriously beat that. Global Properties, it is the place.
Hi everyone! I'm Alima from the Gambia, a small but amazing country in Africa. We have such a cool history here, with ancient empires and explorers from faraway places. And guess what? My new daycare is opening soon to teach you all about it and more. It's called the Afro-British Self-Paced Learning and Child Development Centre. It's going to be an amazing place where we can explore, discover and grow at our own pace. Keep an eye out for more news about ABS. It's coming soon and it's going to be awesome.
ABS, quality education. We all know. I mean, the foundation of any child. Remember, I was just singing this nursery rhyme, rain, rain. The foundation of any child is beginning. And ABS is going to offer your child that opportunity. Strong foundation. I think, you cannot beat that. Brother Maron, we will definitely be having Emanuel Joof. He's going to come here and talk about this convergent meeting that they had at the conference center, Sadauda Conference Center. But before that, now I haven't heard you dabble into this the case that fell flat on its face at the Supreme Court. What's your take, bro? No. It's an interesting case, and obviously, there are folks with different take on it.
No. I don't have a take than the conventional thinking. The courts there, even though
Conventional thinking.
People think it's a common knowledge, but I think both the plaintiff and the defendant, they have to provide evidence. And they said there was no evidence, so it's incumbent if you bring your case, you put everything together and you present it. So, I have no take that APRC, no one. I really, I'm not a lawyer, but every case you have to. This is how cases are won. So, it would be nice. I think I've been saying this for a long time.
Right.
I don't know why the Gambia Supreme Court, there is no coverage. I think the people who are sitting on that court, I think at least people have the right to know what their exchange is. All we see is the case has been denied. We don't know what their voting patterns is. We don't know who has descended. What are the arguments? I think this will help, especially for young lawyers. But every time we've seen this, are they voting 5-0 on all cases? And I've seen this. And I even talked to my brother about this. I said, man, one of the key things is like where I live, sometimes you hear, okay, the vote went 6-3, 6-4, whatever. But you don't know who wrote the opinion, the majority opinion, and who raised dissent. I think this would be very, very helpful, even for those, young lawyers who have a great opportunity in the legal arena. But every single time we say, and I think it's incumbent upon the Chief Justice. He's a very experienced guy. He's been here for a very long time. I think this should be encouraged, even for the media too, for them to kind of transcribe what the arguments are, what are the basis of the arguments. But I see, I think, was it Kex who wrote something? But besides that, we don't know who justice. Are they just going with the flow? Are they all seeing eye to eye? Because if that's a reason on each and every case, I think Gambia needs to raise some concerns about that. I don't think it's supposed to be unanimous every single case. I think there should be some type of dissent on these cases. But again, I think the people who took the case to the court is to provide evidence. I mean, that's how cases are won and lose. I mean, that's how I'm thinking. Not that everyone should know. If
Yeah.
that's the case, I think presumption before we could say,
Yeah.
okay, but this guy looks like a criminal. We're gonna convict him, right? Or A, B, and C. That's not. They interpret the statute and the law. So, and you have to bring those things for them to be able to have an honest debate. They don't need to be sided one way or the other. And I see all these things, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. So if they are saying technicality, I think there should be review and correct these technicalities moving forward.
No, I really like, I mean, there's something that you've said that, because again, an independent judiciary, and most of us believe that the judiciary is independent, but there is always this reinforcement. There's a reason why people are saying, what the hell, especially when you raise issues like, let's get to the gist of the matter, that some of these APRC officials, regular person will say, are you kidding me? They are APRC. You know what I mean? Now, what you're saying is, if these things were covered live, or at least we hear from them making the argument and the dissenting voice, like they do in the US. Now, I don't know, that is the US way of deliberation. I don't know whether in the Gambia that is something that can be done. I don't know. Maybe some of these lawyers can help us on that. But I like what you are saying, because what that does is, look, independence is always about perception, how people perceive it. If Gambians don't perceive that this is independent, these are just a bunch of, they're just ruling and sympathetic to the government against the opposition. You know what I mean? I mean, questioning it. But now, with, let's say, airing it live and direct, and people are hearing their arguments, and people that are dissenting and asking questions to the plaintiff lawyers, you know what I mean? That you can judge, you know what, at least there is a process. The process is fair, and that the plaintiff failed to really provide the evidence that was asked, you know what I mean? People would be in a better place to accept it as it is. And I think maybe that really needs to be considered. The other angle too is, I think, after looking at it myself, I think the cousins rushed into it emotionally rather than, instead of doing what I would call the legal work, they were focusing too much on the politics of it. Because when you do that, I mean, I think Ida Drame just outfoxed them more than anything else. I mean, again, when I first heard it, I'm like, okay, are you kidding me? I know that these people are APRC. No doubt, no ifs or buts about that. But when you walk into that, you said these people are officials, they're violating Section 170. You know what I mean? You cannot be a political operator of a party and at the same time be a civil servant. I mean, it makes sense. So all you have to do is take the evidence to the courts and say, and then there's something else that they said. Subpoena the IEC and say, we want to know the officials of the executive of the APRC who buttress your point that these are actually APRC operators. Look, I'm not a lawyer, and maybe, but to me, it makes sense. If you fail to do that, then my brother, maybe you have problems with your legal work. And again, I don't know. I think they dropped the ball more than anything else. I mean, this whole thing about...
I think the strategy needs to be reassessed. I am not, when it comes to these things, I'm very open-minded. I think it needs to be interpreted. I mean, as you said, there is an open process before the matter was scheduled for hearing, right? So I think, in that arena, you go down there, you can subpoena records, and there's time for discovery and all that. Then that's when you gather your evidence and you present it before the court. So I think that hasn't been done. So we just need to reassess it, because the technicalities, if it's technical, yes, but yes, we heard the audios when Rambo was like deputy ambassador, whatever, the protocol officer during the campaign, and they actually flew in to campaign. So it's all true. But those documentation in the appointment letter and being part of. You got to bring that. The court doesn't need to say, "Hey, we need that evidence." You have to present that. So I think those are key to what the argument centers around. So yeah. So I think moving forward, we just gotta recalibrate and especially being panel. Yeah.
I mean, I know, but I like your suggestion, though. Really, I think that would be good for our justice system. The fact that this is maybe soon to Dafe. He always likes to talk about these things. I think he understands them better. Maybe he can help us out. How come in the Gambia, let's say the thing is not done? What do they call it? On camera, and so that people can that kind of thing. So I mean, I would.
I think even here, some cases they will say no, but I think at least you have the transcript, you have the argument back and forth. What was the main argument? That renders this case to be in the defendant's favor. I think it's really, really good. I mean, you can go back and because sometimes some of these cases you hear, they will argue on precedent, Ohio versus blah blah blah. So I don't see those in the Gambia, and I always wonder. And then I asked this question. I said, every time I hear, the case has been, the Supreme Court upheld this, blah blah. But what is the voting pattern? Who voices dissent? Because obviously 5 of them cannot see eye to eye every single time on every case. If that's the case, we have a serious issue on every case. They just look at the technicality and say, "Oh, we all agree," and there's no pushback whatsoever. So I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. What is that? There's a brother I'm in court all the time.
I mean, again, just like this brother is saying, he doesn't think that the courts are fair.
Musa, you froze, man. I mean, what happened?
Oh, I did?
Is he saying? I think he's saying that he's been attending the court since the beginning, but he has this preconceived notion that the ruling would not be fair.
I know that brother. I know brother Tamba is one of the cousins. He believes that the judiciary was unfair. I mean, and again, it reinforced what you were saying. If we were to really hear the arguments, or at least in a written format, who said what was it unanimous? All 5 of them. I mean, I just have a real difficulty. I mean,
if it's 5-0 all the time on all major cases,
there's a problem.
I think that I'm not a lawyer, but I think that is a problem. That is.
No, but this is the thing, though.
Nyom Sal Tala and the other guys, Abdullah Fati, they all had cases before. I think it's a good question to ask. Why are we not at least getting the transcribe of what the argument is and what are the legal framework, or what do they think? How do they call it? Is it proponent? Proponent of evidence. Overwhelmingly, what do they consider? What do they consider to sway their decision one way or the other? I think that is important to at least know.
But you know what?
We know that
if it is 5-0, to me, that tells me that either whichever way it goes, either the plaintiff or the defense, they haven't really put up a serious case. Because really, I mean, I seriously believe if 5 Supreme Court justices see it the same way, then your case is weak. I mean, it's really weak. It has to be, unless it's, let's say here in the States, we all know sometimes it's more ideological, the way they really look at it. You know what I mean? It's not a question of, you have certain justices that are very conservative, and you have other justices that kind of wear their liberal lenses, so they tend to see things different. But again, what you are saying, I totally agree. I seriously would like to see these arguments to be put out there, whether it can be done in camera or afterwards, and because I have a serious, I seriously do not believe that Hassan Jallow would just capitulate to the current government and just mortgage. I just have a hard time believing that. I mean, I think he's an upright justice. I want to seriously believe that. And he understands it. Here is a guy who used to be an attorney general during the First Republic. I honestly God doubt that the man, everything that he has done.
And also, you don't
Arusha,
forget, I mean, he was the first attorney general. Also, he was the chief prosecutor in Arusha. I mean, for how many years? When they built that, National Court Tribunal. Yeah. All my brothers, Batambidus, and everybody work under him. And, Usman
yes.
and all the world.
So I have a hard time believing that he understands more than anyone else the importance of building a solid judiciary in the Gambia. It's good for our democracy. It's something that we can hack out the anchor. The reason why we were under tyranny for 22 years, the justice system, nobody believed it. Nobody trusted it. Because when we used to have these, mercenary judges all over the place, and nobody really. And so for that person to just come and kind of rehearse and just do the same thing, I mean, I need to be convinced. I honestly, God, do not believe that the man would do that. I seriously doubt it. But again,
I think
it is what it is. But I think
this will clear up if the media and I don't know who the media correspondent is. I mean, even Yakumba Jeje's case against the government, I always see the reference on that one. But I think there was some type of text that was inserted and saying the constitutionality of the person who is the representative of the people, because of, even though the president appointed her, she was filling a position which is, they went into the details somehow. And I think was it Kex who wrote that stuff. So I think you could read the text on it, right, and understand. But these, every time I hear, okay, the case, but so now what is the deal? What did they vote 5-0? What did they, the technicality? What was this? What centers around the argument that sways their decision, whether the majority, uphold that, yeah. So I don't know. So I think it would be good. So it'd be great to understand that. So
Lamin is basically saying that the problem is the judicial is not willing to serve the Gambian issue, whatever that is. Gambia is a common law country, he said. If you can remember, Isafati case, the police made an administrative mistake, but the judge said, because of public interest, we can go and correct it and come back. What is more public interest than this one? So basically he's saying, look, I mean, even if the plaintiff made a mistake, Rawala is saying he should be able to overlook it. And I don't know.
Whatever you call public I don't think per se to overlook it, but what he's trying to say, to give a second look at it and say, correct it and come back. If it's in terms of public interest. But I don't know. I mean, I could not per se stick with this argument one way or the other without seeing the transcript. Was that an argument, right? I mean, I think it comes back to, it's incumbent for the attorneys of the penalty to say, hey, you reference all the time on these cases. That's why you convince the judge back and forth. You go back to president. If they set a precedent for this case, Aisha versus whatever Cham, I mean, they did that. Maybe the attorneys should say, hey, I think, you guys should look at this one too and give us the opportunity, or file a motion, say we gotta get out and get. But my other question is, are they willing to let this case die down? I mean, what is their recourse? Are they able
I don't know. Maybe they can. I don't know whether they can come back. Maybe they can. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Okay. If you said we don't provide it, but now, okay, we went out, we got the record. Now we can ascertain that APRC is a registered, blah, blah, these people.
Exactly.
Because if they go to how do they call it? Service Commission, they obtain their
Judicial
appointment
Service
letters
Commission.
and all that, and I also think there was one thing, and this is not from the court. This is from someone else writing something, right? So we have to be very careful on that. It says these people are not civil servants, but public officials, blah, 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 blah. I really don't know about all that. I think they are on a government pay scale. So those are things that I was like, okay, public officials, they can, but even here, as a federal employee, they issue these acts out, remind us. We had training on this. It's called Hatch Act. I cannot I cannot be discussing that in the office during working hours. I cannot do it. I cannot associate myself with one party or another. I can vote. It's okay, but I cannot actively. They remind you all these things because we are federal employees, and I think it all move up to if you are part of the government, and I don't know how they could distinguish this. Declare the road needs to be clear. So how about the time Fatoumata Jahumpa, Rambo all flew from South Africa during the mayoral campaign and coming down and campaigning for these candidates? And during working hours, I mean, do they take leave of absence or are they getting paid? I mean, these are the nuances you got to get. I'm not a lawyer, but common sense dictate that would be something to argue on and say, okay, what is their role in this aspect? Are they getting paid? So those are very important.
Yeah, Mr. Joof is here. We're gonna get back to this argument because I mean, the ruling was what is a public officer and what is a public servant, and the explanation. I mean, I seriously do understand where they were coming from, but again, I'm not a lawyer, just a regular person. And when I heard the argument that there is a difference between a public officer and a civil servant, and that was what their ruling was based on. But anyway, Mr. Joof, welcome again, and I thank you immensely for joining us.
Good evening, Mr. Jeng and Syrian. It's a pleasure. Sir. It's Chairman a pleasure. Yes, sir.
Good morning from my end. So I am representing the Body Boost today, and I heard Chairman Joof is going to be joining us because Chairman Joof is the current independent adjudicator in the Gambia. And I said, you know what? Maybe we need to have this conversation at the Albert Market. I need to be in the Albert Market notionally and represent the Body Boost. So here we go, Chairman Joof. That's how I dress. Today I'm in Body selling my fokaja and talking to Chairman. So
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure talking to you guys.
So sorry, I have to give it to him though because I only called him yesterday, and I'm like, look, I think we really need to hear your voice. I know we haven't really given you enough time. It's impromptu, but even if you give us 30 minutes, I mean, Sariang, my position is we need to find common ground. That gets me in trouble sometimes because I don't want to have this missed opportunity. People call it capitulating. I call it finding common ground, so that we can have a new constitution. So when I heard about, Mr. Joof, that you are coming up with a convergence of bringing the stakeholders, I wish this was done before the adopting of the 2024 and gazetting it. But anyway, it is what it is. We are where we are. Still, you thought it was important for your intervention. What was the thinking and how did it go?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Jeng. And yes, you were right. In fact, I was chairing a Rotary Club meeting yesterday when you called me. And I saw, when I saw your number, I said, well, Musa doesn't call me all the time. If he calls me, it must be very, very important. So anyway, thank you so much. It is a pleasure. And yes, I had to cancel one or two engagements but I thought the conversation is a very important conversation. And since we are also, we have been part of the process, especially of late. Well, not of late even. I would say as far back as 2018, 19, up to the period in which the 2020 draft was submitted to the president. We have been engaged with the CRC committee, with our position paper, and even meeting them physically, telling them what, as an institution, we thought a new constitution the provisions that it should have. So, so this is very important. But perhaps maybe to fast forward, let us also give context to the whole process. That when the coalition government came into power, they came up with a program. It's important that context is always important because it also helps us to see where we are trying to get to. But the coalition government then came up with a program, and that program, among, of course, we all remember looking into the financial dealings of Yahya Jammeh, the infamous Jammeh Commission was one of the programs of the TJ, Transitional Justice. And it's important that when you're coming from either civil war, civil strife, or period of governance, which had a checkered past. In our case, we didn't have a civil war, but we had a period in which there was systematic abuse of human rights. And I heard you talk about the judiciary. The independence of the judiciary was usurped completely. If Yahya Jammeh had an interest in a particular case, he will actually call the judges, and they will do exactly what he wanted. I'm not making this up, and that was why we had this thing of mercenary judges. But then again, of course, what part of the TJ processes at the time, which was spearheaded by Abubakar Tambidu, the Justice Minister, was the TRRC. And of course, again, the objective was to get to the historical record of what happened during that period. And then, of course, the TRRC came up with recommendations of prosecution, reparation, memorialization, among many other things. I think perhaps what we will do at another stage, because I think it's important that we, as the institution that has been mandated to monitor the implementation of the TRRC, maybe one of your programs, you will call us and we'll tell you where we are with the process, because we are the institution that we have a small implementation role, but we monitor. And just to tell you that not only do we monitor nowadays, we have an online monitoring tool which you can access. But anyway, again, I'm just giving you some context. One of the other things that was done was to have a new constitution. We have the security sector reform was one of the packages of the TJ, civil service reform. Some of them are not going very well. Some are doing reasonably well. And then, of course, the big elephant was to come up with a new constitution. And of course, initially there was a debate, do we need a constitution, a new constitution? Or do we just amend the 1997 constitution? The talk was there. But I think generally it was felt at the time that, listen, that particular 1997 constitution was doctored up to 52 times unconstitutionally. You didn't know when it was doctored, which lawyers were working on that one overnight. So, in fact, there was even a joke among lawyers to ask them, which version do you have? Okay, so that was one. But not only that, there was also certain, the world moves, especially, I forgot to tell you that part of the TJ processes was to set up an NHRC or NHRI, as they call them, National Human Rights Institution, to give them a broad mandate to promote and protect human rights, to investigate human rights violation, to monitor, and we have an extremely broad mandate. We even have quasi-judicial powers. We can sit as a tribunal and decide complaints of, and make remedial and make recommendations which are enforceable. So, of course, we are also the institution that was supposed to carry the never again mantra of the TRRC. Correct. So, one of the many things that also we are mandated to do is to hold convergence. We have an advisory role to government, law review, hold convergence of such nature, which are of great importance to the nation, and harness this recommendation to tell the government that, listen, this is what the people are doing. So what we were doing on the 28th and 29th of November is very much in place with our mandate. And this is what I want people to understand. When the NHRC talks, people say, why are they talking? When we don't talk, they say, why are they not talking? But it is our mandate to do exactly what we are supposed to do. And we will do it. It's okay. Let people criticize. I think I will always explain. When Musa and others call me, I will explain why we are doing it and why we will continue to do it. So anyway, now fast forward, the Constitution. As I said, it was part of the program of the government, and it started going well. The CRC went around the whole country. They went out there. They went to America, looked at drafts, and they came up with yes, there were heated arguments here and there, almost got derailed by issues like secularism and other things. But anyway, at the end of the day, they came up with a draft. And the draft was given to the president. The draft was tabled at the National Assembly. And it died during the second reading because of you, as you know. And this is why we decided, but I'll come to the rationale why we had this. Although now we are getting criticism left, right, and center. For some people, we think that we're a joke, but we'll tell them why we're doing it. In fact, they didn't even read it. I've seen, and I'm very surprised, especially from some higher people somewhere who didn't even read the communique and the objective of the communique. But it's okay. This will give me an opportunity to explain to them what this was all about. So it died during the second reading. National Assembly members went up and down, made some statements here. Some say that it was copy and paste. Anyway, there was a lot of drama. It failed. Right. Again, it failed because if you look at the Constitution, I think it's about section 226. When it comes to making a alteration, it has to go through a very high threshold. I think this is what the problem was. And the threshold requires, I think it says 3/4. In other words, out of the 58, at least, is it 39? If my math gets me right. Yes, right. Must vote in favor. But unfortunately, it was during the second reading that some of them, usually it is when it gets to the committee stage, that clauses are read. And the rationale, in fact, during that period, I think some of the CRC members were even waiting for them to be called during the committee stage to explain, to give the rationale of certain provisions. Unfortunately, it died there. And of course, you know, the story was, some said that, of course, the president was not happy. The retroactive provisions were there. There were some sticking points. But it was a particular period, I think, when NPP didn't even exist. So it was the National Assembly members. Of course, some will have their affiliation one side and, of course, the other. But anyway, it died. There were attempts since then to bring back the draft or to bring back a constitution. We had the government said in many forums that they were going to bring back a constitution. Well, you must have international idea was part of it. Goodluck Jonathan was coming in and out. Some people were even taken to Abuja, some politicians. They were discussing. Discussions were going on during that period. And all of a sudden, there was an information blanket. We didn't know what was happening. Now, coming to you, okay, I will answer your question. You were saying, why now? Why the NHRC? The NHRC, if you look at our reports, every year, Musa, we submit two major, actually now 3 reports. But key, and it's a requirement, it's a legal requirement that we submit to the National Assembly the state of human rights report and on the status of human rights in the country. And in 2022, 2023, you will see we are telling the government, bring back that draft. It's there. We've never relented on that. We've been talking about that. And among other things, if you look at that report, it tells you really the state of human rights, what we found, what were the challenges, the cases that the NHRC looked at, the complaints, how we dealt with them, etc., etc. But just to tell you that we didn't. We were always urging the government to bring back and wherever we had the opportunity to talk to members of the executive, we did. So just to tell you, for us to know that we have always been saying that, listen, we need to bring back our because we all know that there is a deficit in the 1997 Constitution. We know that. So anyway, all of a sudden, in August, a draft appeared, the 2024 draft. So, of course, it has been dissected. It was tabled, gazetted. And as soon as it came out, naturally, people held their positions. They analyzed the document. They looked at the different provisions. And some lawyers came out explaining political parties, among stakeholders, civil society. It was out there. And in fact, during that period, I had some people saying, what is the NHRC doing again? Of course, they will always say, what is the NHRC doing? So, so we of course, we looked at the document with our legal team. We sat, we looked at the document, and of course, we also follow the arguments that were being made. Of course, the NHRC has a position, and that was why we submitted our position paper in 2020. And that was our position, those provisions, what we wanted in that constitution. And interestingly enough, the 2020 had incorporated a lot of the things that we wanted in that draft. Not all, because constitution making process is a compromise, is give and take. Now, one, we knew that the government had gazetted and it was going to be tabled. So we said, okay, what are we going to do as an institution? We finally came up with a consensus among the commissioners with our advisory, with our legal team but mainly this is a commission decision that rather than just come up and say, hey, restore this, restore that, do X, Y, and Z, will just be another institution that is making a recommendation, and the government had only gazetted. So we said, listen, already we have been polarized. People, the UDP and other parties are saying, even if a comma is removed, we will not vote. Fine. Everybody was taking a position. We said, listen, you know what? We have been given this big mandate to bring consensus. This is to bring people together. Constitution is also a human rights thing, because it talks about the way we are going to be governed, separation of powers, oversight institutions, fundamental rights and freedom. So we said, okay, what we are going to do, we are going to hold a conference, a convergence. This is what we are going to do. And in this convergence, we will invite all the stakeholders or their representatives. Let us come together. In this convergence, we talk about constitutional making. We'll talk about look at go back memory lane to see why perhaps maybe the 2020 draft failed. But not only that, look at the provisions of the 2020 draft, and also look at the provision of the 2024 gazetted draft. What are the sticking points? What are the people saying? What do they want? So that now it is not NHRC talking. It is us, the people, and the representatives saying, listen, this is what we want. So this is what we did. But before I did that, or we did it as NHRC, I even went and had a personal meeting with the Minister of Justice, Attorney General, and his team. The idea was for them to understand what we're just trying to do. All of us, if you see, the thing is, Musa, if the government was going to hold a convergence, either it will be boycotted or people will just ignore them, because people were already saying, they were already saying that, listen, you never even consulted us in the first place.
Correct.
You should
Absolutely.
have done it. So I just want for people to understand why we are doing this, despite the abuses we are getting. Let people understand the process. And it's our mandate to do these things, whether they like it or not, unless this mandate is removed from us. But anyway, so we had a discussion and we made it completely clear to the minister that if people are polarized, they believe, and it was said openly that they were not consulted, and the government said they were consulted. And people have a say. Already people are making position papers. We told the government that we want to hold a convergence of stakeholders, and we wanted the government to be part of the process so that nobody is left behind. And we sit down and we talk and say, listen, yes, we have a draft that you have gazetted, but this is what the people are saying.
Correct.
So this was the objective of this convergence. And it was really to provide an opportunity to collectively identify and address all the contentious issues that are in the 2024 vis-a-vis the 2020 draft. And also to foster a dialogue so that we will develop actionable recommendations. So this is important. So we just didn't want it to make it a talk shop. Everybody has been talking, and we are good at talking. So we said, okay, we will have this. That's what I said. We even had as setting the stage. We even brought in Professor Opadere of the university, the Dean of Law, to give us the whole constitutional making, the compromises that one needs to make from Indonesia to Africa, everywhere. Just so for us to understand, because people came, and I used the word. I said, "Listen, I want this in my opening statement. This conference to be engaging, to be passionate, but to be fruitful and friendly, because it is ours. It is ours. Let us argue, but let us make sure that listen, we are going to say to the National Assembly, because at this stage, Musa, it is we can talk until tomorrow. It is at the level of the National Assembly. We have to understand, and we need to be strategic in what we do. And sometimes we Gambians, we are not strategic. We need to be strategic. So we went through the process, and then we had a presentation on the 2020 draft to remind people what did the 2020 draft say. Because, you know, in Gambia, we sometimes, a lot of people who talk don't even know what they're talking about. It's very common here. We go with the flow. But anyway, it was a refresher course of what the 2020 entails. And then what does the 2024 draft say? Not only did we do that, and then we came out with the sticking points, things that have been removed, things that have been amended, so that we will all now, before we broke into sessions, we broke into groups. I think it was 5 groups, looking at the provisions, and then people came back and reported in plenary as to what they believe should be in those provisions. I'm just trying to explain to you how the process was done. But we had over well over 100 participants from all the political parties, and inter-party committee. As I told you, the Solicitor General, the minister was not in town. The Solicitor General came and even opened it for us. We had representatives of the political parties. If you look at the pictures, you'll even see. The likes of Halifa even came. They came in numbers. Some started by saying, "What's the objective of holding it?" Yes, and they participated. Yeah. Okay, let me keep quiet and allow you to ask questions, just in case. Yeah.
So they came. They participated. You guys were trying to find common ground. Stakeholders were there. So I have to assume that you said the Halifas were there. The government was represented. The United Democratic Party, an important player, because if they don't go along, there will not be a compromise. When everything is said and done, and you guys went through the process, we saw a communique coming from NHRC. Now, how did you guys come up with that communique?
Okay, if you say, we say
unanimity. Was there unanimity in what actually came out? Or is the NHRC?
No, this is not NHRC. No, let me explain, Musa. And I think maybe we should have had an asterisk at the end of the communique for people to understand again how the communique. We had a rapporteur. We had, as I told you, breakout groups. And the breakout groups reported in plenary. And before this communique was adopted, it was put to the and I was happy. Even on a Friday, people stayed until 5. And you know, people don't stay until 5. Actually, that particular session was chaired by Ndesring Jobati of Tango. And it was the communique was done. It was out there, and we told them we went through each word and said this is the draft communique. The only portion that had to be reworked on was the specific recommendations. You see, if you look at the communique, it has the general observation, it has the general recommendation, and the specific recommendations. Because it was just coming from all the groups. It was read. We said, okay, now what we'll do again with the specific recommendation, we have accepted in principle all this and the specific. We will now share it again, all the specific recommendation, and give a time frame for those who were part and who were present in the process to write back and say, just in case something was missing. Because we had rapporteur who were not from NHRC. We had also a drafting team comprising of some lawyers and others. So, and then this was out sent there. And what you see, we just signed it to say that, yes, so what we have done is we as an institution, we are the convener and we are the secretariat. And we signed, I signed, and the executive secretary signed. And we sent it to the National Assembly, to each and every member who was part of there. And we gave time and said, listen, this is, again, we had to just do some correction here and there, tweak, as I told you, because when they broke in sessions. So this is not an NHRC document. It is not. This is a document, it's a communique coming from the representative of those who were present.
The people that participated.
It's very important that we know that. I went through the methodology to give you the rationale why we felt we needed to do this. And I was happy that throughout, Honorable Madi Sise participated throughout the chairperson of the constitutional human rights and constitution of the National Assembly throughout. And in fact, he told me that, Emanuel, this is a very good initiative. When you start these things, people are wondering why are they doing it? But it's natural. We always, human beings are like that. We try to, what are they doing? Because, and this is how Gambia is. One will say, are they the mouthpiece of the government? And I'm sure you saw 2-3 days ago when they did a Photoshop of me holding mic for Lawyer Dabo, that I'm now the mouthpiece of Lawyer Dabo. You didn't see that. I'll send it to you. And Pasamba Jau's friend, Alaji Girigara, sent a tirade, said very horrible things about me and my commission. But you see, I have to be measured as the chairperson of the commission. I cannot abuse back or say things. I have to be. But anyway, the point I'm making, yes, the point I'm making is that this was the rationale. It will now, the idea is we're taking to the National Assembly and tell the National Assembly members, at least we held a convergence. When the draft came, everybody is saying that the government did not consult them. I think that was the consensus. The government didn't consult them. They felt they needed to be consulted. We have attempted, and in this attempt that we made, all the firebrands from the Madi Jobates, we did it together with the Bar Association. They were there. The NHRC, everybody was there. The Almami Charles were there. Some will make objections. Some will fire shots during the but we expected that. But what we are saying is, let us have an opportunity now to say that, listen, after this convergence, this is what the people are saying. And I love the omnibus clause. And if people didn't, on the specific recommendation, that was the last recommendation 23 specific recommendation, which says that restore all progressive clauses in the draft Constitution 2020 that have been excluded or amended in the draft Constitution 2024. I think that was great. Another one that many things, if you have time, confirmation of presidential appointments by the National Assembly.
Yes,
This came out very strongly.
Yes.
Restore all the provisions of the draft constitution 2020,
Correct.
which empowers or requires the National Assembly to confirm all appointments by the president, including ministers, chairperson, and members of all independent institutions and the director of public prosecution.
So, Mr. Joof, in short, it looks like all the clauses that were removed from the 2020 draft is in this communique to be restored, correct?
Yes, but what they did, so that we made, go on, finish, and I'll answer your question.
Yeah. I just wanna make sure before I hand it over to my friend Marong, because he's already falling asleep, and that is because I went and looked at the communique myself, and it looks like all the controversial clauses that were removed from the 2020 is kind of included in this communique. Would that be correct for me to say that? Are you there? Frozen?
Me.
Are you there?
Can you see me? Okay, I'm back. All right. So yeah, I would say, well, almost, but that was why we wanted people to be very specific also. There were some ways saying, listen, all these clauses that we felt are progressive should be back. But you see, again, this is to do with constitution. You cannot, hello?
Yeah, now we can hear you, but we can't see you. But that's okay.
Okay, you don't have to see my face.
There he goes. Sorry, I'm sorry. I guess if he comes back, I really want you to come in. You know, Mr. Joof, I'm not lawyer. Lawyers can, but coming back to the reason why I asked that question, because I really went back and I read the communique in, yeah, Mr. Joof, you're back.
Sorry. Okay. I leave my, it said something and, you know, I pressed the button. I leave it alone. So, okay. Yeah. So there was an omnibus clause that I said, but what we're very particular about, people were specific. What came out in the, especially if you look at it, this was from the groups themselves. This is exactly what we want back. This is what we want back. The idea is we give it to National Assembly members.
Right.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yes, I'm back. Somebody was telling me that I'm off. Yeah. But you can hear me. I'm on.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay. So and tell National Assembly members, hey, the ball is in your court. Don't kill. Take this document. Look at the clauses. Put back this provision. You see, we have to be. Let us not be hysterical. This is a long journey. Even if it passed and finally those provisions, there is a compromise. Remember, we have to go to a referendum. 50% of those who are supposed to vote must vote, and 75% must agree. The journey has just started, and we just want to puncture the tires. We will not move. Let us be very strong and passionate. Let National Assembly members know. Let the government knows that, listen, people are saying this is what we want. Okay, let me keep quiet and allow Syrian to fire the shots. He's looking at me attentively, and I know he's a very hard man. But anyway.
The body bunga gives no wood sumbuya. He's ready there. All right, Brother
Mr. Chairman Joof, thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. Joof. My first question is, I know you mentioned that the 2020 draft has failed, but I like the words. I mean, trust me, consultative, reflective. But don't you think, in all encompassing, the 2020 draft has passed that model?
Has passed that?
I said the reflective and consultative part of it. And I heard you. I take good notes what you said here. But what I'm trying to say is, I know you're trying to revive, to puncture the tires, which are all good efforts. And I listened to the conversation there. Good Lord, that you didn't even talk about the retroactive clause. You talk about the meats and potatoes in that group. So now what I'm trying to say is, the reflective part and the consultative part, don't you think the 2020 draft has passed that test before it failed?
Has passed the test of what?
Consultative and reflective of
Yes,
Gambian
no,
population.
Mr. Taylor, and that was why I took time. I took time to explain that it was the National Assembly members that killed it. And of course, why it was killed, we all know that there were certain provisions that we were told by the government, the president was not happy. These were all things that were said. And that was why people said that that's why the government probably didn't push hard enough for the threshold, for it to pass the threshold. Yes, I don't know whether I'm answering your question. That was done. But now the thing is this. Then there was this backlash from Gambians, from the international community. They spent a lot of money. It was a package of the government when they came to say that they're going to give us a constitution. So the government, I think, also realized that Gambians are not happy with them. And international community that put in a lot of money really wanted the government to be serious, to have a constitution. And also our National Assembly members. I think we have to really, but of course, maybe they take directives from their party, but they are the lawmakers. But you know, Syrian, this is it. This is where we are. We, as I told, say, what can we do? Like the NHRC, for example, you or Musa or me, we cannot force a constitution. I wish I could force a constitution. We can't. There is a process. Now we have gotten to this particular stage where we were told, all of a sudden we saw a draft. People were not happy. A gazetted 2020. What do? We felt that as an institution that is mandated to hold these conferences, convergence, we should do something. And this is what we're doing. And I think we want history to say that, listen, we have tried. And we try to bring everybody together. And National Assembly members, everybody, let us make sure this is our constitution, our government. Political parties, yes, let us discuss, let us fight, but let us look at the bigger picture. I think this is what we are really trying to do. And are we going to succeed? Well, we as an NHRI, we're trying to find a common ground. We believe that we need to make compromises, and whenever constitutions are enacted, there has to be compromises, and also solution-oriented dialogue. That is not there. There is no solution-oriented dialogue. That is why people are they don't even want us to do this. Some people just want to kill it, and then what? So this is what we're trying to do. Maybe it will, but it is ours. And let us try and see. Get to the level of the National Assembly, have a dialogue, have position papers, and see where we can, at what level we can converge, come together, and say, okay, this is acceptable or more adequately acceptable, because you cannot have. Not everybody will be happy. You heard when the CRC was out, the stories that Gambia even became polarized during that period. So it just shows you also, it also tells you that perhaps we should invest. I hope this Peace Commission Act comes into effect. There is a lot of, we should invest in peace in this country. There is a lot of polarization in this little Gambia. You will be very surprised when people go into their small little corners and comfort zone, what they say and what they hear. But then again, I think human beings are human beings. But the NHRC will try to foster a society built on rule of law when we have consensus and create a better society. So that was what we were doing. But Syrian, I see the angle you were coming from. In other words, I hope you're not a prophet of doom. In other words, all these things have been tested. It has been tested. And then, what new magic? Does Mr. Joof and his team have a magical wand? Am I a magician? Well, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. Sometimes you have skills you don't know you have until you start doing the things and it happens. But thank you, Syrian. But I finally got your point. But I really appreciate it as well. Valid point. Valid point.
Okay. All right. Mr. Chairman Joof, and I get it. I definitely get it. And what you are trying to do, I think someone has to be the adult in the room to bring folks together. And we all realize the polarization in our politics. And obviously, I'm actually reading the communique and some of the provisions, as you highlighted earlier, leadership and integrity. The speaker and deputy speaker needs to be elected, to be elected member of the National Assembly. So I hear that, and the office of the vice president, the wife of the president, all that, which folks have, expressed that these things needs to be inserted into the new draft Constitution 2024. Now, I think my only question is, it seems like, if I hear you correctly, these are expressed desires of key stakeholders who participated in, that engagement, whether it be a day or two. Those are expressed and implicit, and that's what's on the document, and you guys sign it. Now, good that we have all these things in recommendation, but now where does your engagement ends? I mean, where do you hand this thing off? You hand it off to the Justice Ministry, but
No.
To the National Assembly.
Yeah, the National Assembly.
No,
Yeah.
Okay. So no. Give me a second. Okay, to the National Assembly, you hand it over. Now, what next? Now, I mean, is this engagement gonna continue? As you said, this is like puncturing the tires. I mean, this first step, taking a stab at it. Now, are we going to get the motion moving to ensure that these, I mean, if they agree to these changes, I don't see why any reasonable person will object to it. But now, where does the engagement ends now? Since it's off to the National Assembly, is this going to be a continual motion to ensure that the end product is realized?
Yes, we will certainly. This was just the first step. Because, and that was why I kept on saying, we refuse to just come up with a position paper. It's just NHRC saying. So with this document, which has been shared with National Assembly, and for your information, we report, they're the body that has supervisory jurisdiction over us, and we report to them, and we even take them on retreats. For your information, we were with them on a 3-day retreat on the criminal procedure code. We make sure, because we are also advisory to them, and give and put things in a human rights perspective and lens. So the engagement that we do with the National Assembly members is a continuous one. It could be on the Election Act. We did a 3-day one. We took them to a hotel on the criminal procedure code. We do these things. This is something that we do and we keep on doing. And we go there. Sometimes they summon us. They actually do summon us to come and explain particular provisions. So we are using this, and that was why whenever we are even doing a document that needs legislation, we invite them, so that they can get the flavor of the context of what is being done. But just to answer your question, this is just the beginning. The next step is to lobby them and go, because it's going to first reading, second. We will try. We will try. And we do that. We engage them all the time. And as I told you, at the National Assembly itself, and sometimes we even have retreat outside the National Assembly. We do all that, and for this particular one, we will do it because we feel it's of great importance, really, and it's important that let them tell the public if we do not have a constitution that adequately reflects the will of the Gambian people, let them also be part to be blamed. So this is what, well, maybe I should not put it that way. I need to be nicer because they are honorable men. But but this is also part of the process. The ball, sirs, the ball is in your court. The ball is in your court. You have to save the day. Forget about party political differences. Yes, you still have your affiliation, but let us look at, what do we want? This is not, a constitution is not made for one president. Who knows who will be there in 2026? Who knows who will be there in 2030 something? It has to be a document that survives time, prosperity. So I think this is how we should try and look at these things. But yes, of course, you cannot run away from party politics. Politics is part of all these things, but it should not be only that we should be wrong. Yeah.
All right, Chairman Joof, thank you very much. Go ahead, Musa.
Chairman Joof, really, when I hear you use certain phrases, I just want to pat myself on the back. And because I heard myself saying it, and that is, you said strategic. We have to be strategic. You said we have to find common ground. You said we have to compromise. And then you said, if we failed, then what? I was hammering the same points last week because I think there is a need for that. And I'm glad NHRC is intervening. And another thing though, and I want you to help me out. Everybody said, bring back the 2020 draft. And when I read this communique, everything in it, it's back in that communique. And everything, most of the clauses that are in the 2020 are in this communique. So I think we need to get away from the 2024 or 2020. Let's look at the communique, what it has done. But there is one element though. People call it.
Are you asking a question or are you making a comment?
This is the big elephant in the room. And that is the retroactive clause. Most people are saying, people are saying, does the communique, in other words, totally sidestep that Barrow will not be able to not only run 2026, but also be able to run in 2031. Did you attempt from the convergence? Did people raise this issue, how this thing is to be handled? Because I think that one is missing. The communique of retroactive from the 2020. Is there, can you shed light on that?
Well, okay. As I told you, the way it was done, it's very interesting what you're asking, because there were some even political pundits who will get up and tell us, but Emanuel, what is your opinion? I told them, no, this is not my opinion. Today, it has to come from you. They've done it to my legal officers as they were presenting and other presenters. I said, no. It was when we break into the groups, having representative of, we will tell the people what you guys are saying. That was why, if you see it, it was not there. Really, that's what I was telling you, that this is not an NHRC document. The retroactive,
it wasn't there. When you said it wasn't there.
In the group, it didn't come out because we had a rapporteur. We didn't see the issue of the retroactive thing coming out. I think what was very clear is that, of course, presidential term limit, people want that, 50.1, but it didn't come out as a contentious issue in this particular convergence. Maybe it should have. Maybe we should have flagged it stronger enough and asked people. But we were, as I said, we were allowing people to go with the flow.
I think that is the bigger contentious clause, if you ask me, than all these other ones. I may be naive, but I have a feeling.
No. I think you were right. I think you were right. It was, maybe people have just accepted that since the 2024 draft, I doesn't have it. That perhaps, okay, fine, we can go away. We can get rid of the 2020 provision. We can do away with that 2020 provision, I guess. But this was this is what people were passionate about in this particular case. They didn't talk about leaving the retroactive clause or either bringing it back or whatever. Yeah.
Because if if all the stakeholders are willing to set that one aside, I have a feeling that maybe we can be lucky. Because for me, I think that is one of the most contentious issues. But what do I know?
It is one of the most contentious issues, and I remember at that particular period, even somewhere. The issue was since laws in general are not retroactive, why should we make it retroactive? But anyway, from our side, this was what was captured, and this was what was read. Everybody clapped in approval, and then we sent the draft again, and they they didn't object, at least at the period. This is what was accepted.
So anyway, I know you said you were only going to be here for 30, 40 minutes, but you know how these things go sometimes. But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. NHRC as an institution, were you guys consulted before the 2024 draft was rolled out? Was there any kind of consultation from the cabinet, the government saying, okay, this is what we are working on, we want to have your input? Because there are a lot of institutions saying we were not consulted, or we were consulted in a certain way that wasn't right. Now, was there any consultation to your institution of any sort?
No.
Absolutely.
That was not done. The only time we were consulted was the period of the CRC, where not only did we do a presentation before the commissioners, and then we submitted a commission paper, but we have been following since then. And in fact, the NHRC even felt there was a particular period when International Idea was in town and Goodluck Jonathan. In fact, one of the top lawyers was very surprised. He said, why are they trying to sideline? Why are you not people part of the process? Because you give independence in the process. You are not party political. But you see, the thing is, we are taking the bull by the horn. Maybe had they consulted us earlier, some of these pitfalls would not have been there. But yeah, just to tell we were not consulted. We were not. We just, like everybody else, what we saw was a gazetted 2024 draft. And that was why we took it upon ourselves to go and talk to the ministry and say, listen, this has happened, but this is what is out there. This is what people are saying. And I think there needs to be a convergence to address this issue.
All right. So, Chairman Joof, you had a convergence. This came out of it. You send it to the National Assembly. Now, and you did say that your work is not done yet. My question, call it a recommendation if you want. You're lobbying the National Assembly, but there are certain principal stakeholders, and their position on this is absolutely essential. And I'm thinking maybe there should be a direct lobby to them. Having a meeting with the president to tell him, look, we all came together and this is what came out of it. And Mr. President, we believe you should not only support this, but give it your full support. You are not going to stop there. Engage the opposition leader. If Alaji Usainu Dabo doesn't give his EF Horton signature to it, it's dead on arrival. Take it to him and sell it to him. If he doesn't support it, it's not even going to pass referendum. Same thing with other players like the Halifa Salahs and the Mama Kandes. Do you see this kind of step that NHRC is willing to take? Are there any political process?
Wow. No, it is a political process, and National Assembly members belong to political parties. So that is a fact. That is a fact. And that is why we're even targeting them to start with. But what you're saying is that even they themselves, they take directives from their political bosses. See, but yeah. But anyway, this is a good recommendation. I'll not put it down as in the communique because the communique was already signed and you were not part of our meeting. But
I get it.
It's just a joke. It's just a joke. But I think it's a very valid. What you are telling us is that to broaden our engagement. Let us broaden our engagement to the head of state, who has what I think the biggest majority party members, UDP, and all the others. And definitely, yes, And that was why they were even invited. We we said to us, you cannot have even this without their representative because it will be futile. In fact, the picture you said was at the end of this last day, because we were, as I told you, over 100 people. But that notwithstanding, I think what you said is important. We will do that. And by the way, we do a lot of engagement without people knowing. You'll be very surprised that sometimes we even meet His Excellency to make our statements very strong and said, you know, and we do that. We do meet members of the executive and meet. Okay, I've met Loyal Senudavo one-on-one, among other things. But anyway, this is a very important point that you have made. That although they had representative, but maybe those representatives don't carry even weight that much, as you said, you know, or whatever, or they change and they tell them this is the party position. So we will do that. No, definitely. This is a very good recommendation, and we will, as the process go on, we will do that. But I think also, Musa, you said something. I think what others were also think you were too strong. On I watched one discussion. Some believe that you were saying we just, whatever the nature of it, at least I think you are being probably misinterpreted. We need a constitution, come rain or sunshine. And I don't think also the NHRC is not saying that. We are not just saying compromise on the 2024. Exactly. We're saying that, yes. I think that needs to also come out clearly. Sometimes I guess when I looked at some of the people who are criticizing us, I think that is what they're thinking. They're saying that we're saying that let us just approve the 2024 draft and move along. We are not saying that. And I think if that comes out clearly, it will help so that people will understand where we are.
I'm glad you said that.
Mr. Serian is smiling in a very interesting way. Mr. Serian.
when I say compromise, Mr. suggesting compromising on the 2024 draft, and that's not what people are saying. Not compromising on the 2024 draft.
No, Mr. Joof, what I was smiling about was that might not be NHRC's position, but for the chief strategist, when he makes these references about insurance policy in our back pocket, that's where the translation get lost. 50+1 majority. That's not all the meats and potatoes. I think that's where his take is take down. So that might be up to speak for chairman. Speak for your position, but not for the chief strategist position. He needs to come out and clearly.
No, Sariang, yes. I have been very clear that I do not. First thing first, I don't think the 2024 draft is going to pass. So I'll be very naive to say that let's hang on to it. What I was saying is total rejection. I don't think that is the way to go. Let's look at the gazetted 2024 draft and let's give it a chance and make the necessary changes to find a compromise. Not compromise on the 2024 draft, but to bring in everybody to say, okay, man, I can live with this. And that is what I mean,
so now you move your position. You're aligning more of NHRC.
No, seriously, all along.
No, but now let me ask Chairman my question now. Let you buy my life, Chairman. He's our guest today, not you, right? We can have that debate after the chairman is done. So we have this every Sunday. It's all right. Go ahead, so Chairman, I hear you. I honestly hear you. And I think you somehow answered the question about consulting the president and the executive, because I was going to bring that up to say, yes, all these amendments that are put in the communique, great. But they took that out in the 2024 draft. Who are going to be the most key stakeholders? Because I tell you, if MPP or the executive don't agree on those, we can kiss this whole thing goodbye. I mean, it's not going to pass. But I think you answered that question. So, which is great that you're going to engage the president, you're going to engage the National Assembly and the opposition to ensure that people have come out. Yes, but I think also the acknowledgement of the fact that yes, we were not consulted, but we will need to go back and reassess and ensure that we regroup again and consult people. And I'm gonna give you NHRC a lot of kudos for that, because if you cannot identify an issue, or you are just torn deaf to it and being on a defensive position and say, oh, back and forth, I think it doesn't do any good for the long run, such a national document. For that part, I commend you. But now, looking at the problems, we understand listening to those folks during the consultation, what are some of the biggest drawbacks you captured during that session that you think there's going to be a lot of work one way or the other to bring some type of majority to support this document moving forward?
Okay, I don't know whether I get the. You could tell from the discussions that there was a lot of passion, for example, on confirmation of presidential appointment by the National Assembly. That came out also very, very strongly. That was why we decided, from the general recommendation to the specific, they felt that if that provision is removed, it will now give the president free hand. And people even said institutions like the NHRC will not be safe, because then the president will just, instead of the process in which we are appointed, going through the civil society umbrella group. From there, names are gazetted, then taken to the National Assembly. They will submit and ask for CVs, and the names that they nominate should be the ones that the president. These were some of the areas that people were very passionate about. That came out very, very also very strongly. And what else? So as I sat there, we. Issues like qualification for presidential candidates also came in, interestingly. That was also very interesting, listening to people who are very passionate about that as a declaration by spouses of the president. This is when you have a group of people like that, everybody has their particular interests or what they have been following, what they know, and they feel that we should address that ill or mitigate that ill. So so that was why we didn't put them in preferential order. We said, okay, these are the specific things that came out. General, for example, even the general observations, people are also saying that they don't believe that the 1997 Constitution is fit for purpose. In other words, I think a lot of people are also thinking that why don't we just do some amendments here and there and bring it back? Maybe that is a consensus. People are also saying that, bring it and then 50+1, put it there, get a referendum for the presidential, 50+1, and then for the term limits, get a referendum. But it looks as if people were saying that, well, looking at that particular provision now, they believe, especially when it comes to issues like fundamental rights and public interest litigation, they believe that the 2020 draft, especially, and also, although the 2024 draft, I think, kind of retained some of it, but people felt that clause 34 of the draft constitution 2020 was better, where people in their communities, especially when it comes to sand mining, environmental degradation, having local standi to come out. Again, the people were very strong on these things, that it should come back. So that is recommendation. Sarian is doing some cross-reference. Specific recommendation 1. So and also leadership and integrity. They want it back. There was a general consensus that no, bring it back, put it back where it. So, but you see, the thing is, what we did, it can never be 100% perfect. But you see, Musa, we had to and we have an NHRC, and that was why we were set up really. We were set up to make sure that this never again, we will not just go back to what used to be. Let there be a platform. And this is what we do. Whenever there is even a law that flouts treaties that we ratify as a country, we flag it. Just to tell you also, I know this is an aside. The Gambia is going to be reviewed in January under the Universal Periodic Review. Every 4.5 years, every country in the world is reviewed. Every country. And when you go before the Human Rights Council, recommendations are made. And in that recommendation in 2019, Gambia was recommended to make sure that they come up with a constitution that was more reflective the will of the people. And Gambia said yes. Now Gambia accepted 207 of the 228 recommendations. How many of those? Gambia is going to be reviewed again. I will be in Geneva. We've already submitted our stakeholders report. But we have advised the government well before that, hey, you went before the UN Council, and this is what you said. How many of these have you? So these are, I'm just saying so that you know, one of the many things that we do. I'll even send you the UPR report for you to understand what Gambia has done, what it has not done, and what it should do. So Gambia will be on the radar in January in Geneva. So there's a lot of things that, but we cannot just relent. This is the point. Even sometimes if you think that this is a tall order, under the NHRC, we said no, we will tackle it. That's why we existed. So we need to push. It's a democracy. We're not getting everything we want, but hey, Musa, for the people, by the people does well. You flag out these issues, but even among yourselves, sometimes there's a very nice banter between the three of you. But I think we need to discuss this out. We need to talk. We need to disagree, and we need to agree.
Yeah. So Chairman Joof, I listen to you very attentively, and I know you understand Mandinka. My dad used to say, "Kumo, abuka domo." So I listen to you very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not to go in for NHRC, but you speaking to the wise here. I mean, your last statement especially, you're going to Geneva, and the government is a signatory to all these different things without taking a position one way or the other. But what you're doing is you're saying, help me help you to move this document forward. And if I understand you correctly, all those things that the government, the people voted for in 2016, you highlighted that. Leadership and accountability, right? Integrity, so sort of. The 48-hour detention by the police versus the 72 hours.
Yeah.
National Assembly, co-equal branch of the government. Because we've been there before, 22 years. We got one man who calls the shots. The entire, he says as it is. He even meddled in the judiciary. The people don't want that. And I hear you. I honestly hear you. And I was listening. Some of the smiles. I think I said, you know what? I think maybe people misunderstood what the position of NHRC was in, first of all, organizing a convergence which is more participatory, reflective, and consultative. I mean, the inputs were coming from the representative of key stakeholders, and we encompassed that into a document. We're not saying one way or the other. We're saying this is the desires of those participants in this consultation, and we put it in a document to share to the National Assembly. Now, the people will just need to be open-minded about these things. If we want a document, and now all these things that Mr. Chairman Joof expressed, the listeners, maybe before you have a different position, I want you to carefully listen to what Mr. Chairman Joof just said here. And especially going to Geneva and saying, this is the document that as a country, 217 points. Now, he said also, you got to listen to him. He says, I told the government, you sign on to these things. Now what? So, folks, I'm telling you, I think we all need to be part of this. I mean, I am not supporting Musa's position one way or the other. I'm not. But I think what NHRC is doing is what we miss. They're trying to correct it and bringing people together and have a discussion. With all those clauses, if the executive can come together, opposition, key stakeholders, the CSOs, bar association.
That's what position is. That's what my position is.
Oh, but now, my Daniel, father, I think people need to give you opportunity. But now, what we need to do from us who sits on these platforms and talk on every Sunday, we have a huge following who follow us. As an engagement opportunity, what do you need us, every Gambian, to hear from you today, Chairman, to amplify this message that HNRC is not taking any position one way or the other, but we are also in a line with the desires of the Gambians or people who participate and things that they put, especially the last part that you said, going to Gambia, Geneva, and standing out there and defending. So what is your take, Chairman? I'll listen to you very carefully.
Yes. Okay. The NHRC decided, you see, had we taken a position straight away in this particular instance and come up with a position paper, we'll just be like anybody else, Tango, the Saltal, and the others. Everybody were doing that. We in 2020 were very clear as to what we wanted in that constitution. So we never shied away from what we wanted. But we were caught unawares, all of us, by a gazetted 2024 draft. Yeah. And we realized all of a sudden that everybody was polarized. And the government was actually even caught, because now, and that's why I stated, had the government even called a conference, nobody will go except because people will tell them, you should have done this before gazetting a draft. So we felt that the constitution is bigger than NHRC. And if we have a position, the criticism would have been even bigger. Because it would have just been one group saying. So we said, okay, let us all come, let us bring a convergence and take this and say to the government, before you had the draft gazetted, this is what you should have done. If you had done this, you would have come up with this. I don't know whether you see the point. This is what we're trying to do. And we didn't shy away by even going to the Minister of Justice and saying, listen, you know, governments can also be sensitive. I said, you have a draft, but it is our mandate to control, and this is what we want to do, and we want you to even be part of it. Come and be part of it. And of course, they didn't say much. They came, of course, in the opening. Tomasi talked about exactly, having a constitution that reflects those kind of things were said. Okay, so that is the reason why. We don't usually sit on the fence. And believe me, it has given us a lot of enemies, both within government and I'm telling you, if I tell you, you don't even know. And also in the opposition and also everywhere. But as I said to Drame, we always say when we have our meetings, let them talk. We are open to public opinion. We listen, but we cannot always be guided by every opinion that Sadian said or Mr. Jeng, so we have to actually look at our mandate and do the right thing. Okay, so again, as I've mentioned something, one of the things that the government said in 2019, when it was being reviewed, the recommendations were they have done well in some, because I remember one of the recommendations, we were just newly set up. In fact, the Human Rights Commission was very happy that finally they have set up a National Human Rights Commission that will now, with the powers to promote and protect human rights, monitor, investigate. Now, one of the recommendations that were made and the government accepted was the TRRC recommendations, because the TRRC had just started, will be implemented by the government. Now, as you know, the government has a white paper. And they have started implementation, although slow. But you could say that there was a white paper they've accepted. One of the things that they told the government was that make sure that that constitution, you come up with a now the government is going back. I don't know in January what will be said. I guess it will be that we have tabled a gazetted draft. You know, it was a litany of actually of recommendations that were made, and the government said, yeah, we will do this by the time we come next time. We will do this, we will do that, and we'll do that. So we as an institution are also asked by the Human Rights Council to report. You see, this is the interesting thing. We do a shadow report to see, to verify, has the government done X, Y, Z? But you know what we did even before writing our report? We told them that you were failing on X, Y, and Z. Step up. Because when our report goes, it goes. You need to step up. And we are also, just not to stop cause any trouble, we even send them our report. That anyway, this is what you have done. Quickly, they have another thing that was recommended was setting up of an anti-corruption. They have now done that. ATI, I'm just telling you that these were the recommendations that were, So we went with our box and said, hey, you are going very soon. You have not done X, Y, and Z. So, but anyway, I think what we will need to do from time to time, if you think that there is something of interest for the people and by the people in advance, so that it's also good for governments to understand what the process is, what is being done. It's important. It's important that we know these little things. And yes.
Chairman Joof, our activists come to dinner late, but I mean, he's here nonetheless. I hope we don't scramble affairy. That's what he does best. Pop Samba, we were missing you a little bit.
Yeah, I know you are. Mr. Joof, thank you very much for coming. I listened a little bit, and I must first start by telling you that I am one of those who really support the work that the NHRC is doing, because I think it's absolutely, absolutely important. And I believe there needs to be an institution in the Gambia that not only promotes but also protect human and constitutional rights. And the work that you guys are doing, I think, is great. Now, when it comes to the Barrow draft, because that's what it is.
I told you.
My friend used a phrase the last time, poisoning the well. And I thought about that recently, and I'm thinking, when a well is poisoned, and this well has been poisoned so badly and continues to be poisoned, you don't try to clean it up. You dig a new well that is safer to drink. And I believe, like most Gambians, that this draft is dead on arrival when it goes to the National Assembly. I respect the work that you guys are doing. And as it stands, it does not stand a chance given the threshold that it has to meet for it to pass. Because this is not an ordinary amendment. You are amending entrenched clauses of the Constitution, so which will require, the threshold is very high. So I had a brief conversation today with the Attorney General, briefly, and it didn't have to do with the Constitution. I was just calling him because it came to my attention that ECOWAS has finally agreed to set up this hybrid court where Jammeh and his criminals can now be tried for human rights violations. And my view is that they should withdraw the draft.
Okay.
Withdraw the draft, work with your institution. No, I'm not breaking. You're breaking. Work with your organization, your institution, work with other partners, go to the drawing board and look at where we have our differences. And I believe when we come out of that process, this doesn't have to take 3 months. When we come out of that process, we would have had a process where we will have a buy-in from the major players, and you will have a positive start. Because definitely, there is absolutely no way, regardless of whatever you guys are doing,
there is a reason
why. Pastor seems to be gone. Pastor seems to be gone.
I'm glad he's gone because he's poisoning the conversation.
I guess Musa was right. He was breaking up too.
He's swimming.
So I wish
swimming,
Pasamba,
he's swimming in the
was.
ocean of pessimism.
Yes. Okay. I wish
Totally.
Pasamba was with us in the inception, because we're looking at what can be done. He is coming with one, but I think also sometimes when a well is poisoned, or it depends on the degree of poison, you can also come and clean it up. That's why you clean it up and make sure that all the poison is removed. That's another way of looking at it. That's. But I also see what he's saying. But the thing is, what we came up also is that, listen, this is what the people are saying. So if, for example, it will not work on the level of the committee stage, the government needs to pull it out and redraft it, then that's fine. Our job is to make sure, and that is why we're saying a constitution that is reflective of the will of the people. And
Exactly.
Let's see. It's not easy. But that is one way. Pasamba said that the well is poisoned. You clean it and dig another well, or get a borehole. Sometimes you can also come and get people to clean the well and put, what do they call it? They have all these chemicals they put, and the well can be up and running again. So we are the NHRC.
Chlorine solution.
Chairman,
Yes, exactly.
Chairman Joof, this is our reality. There are people on the fringes, like the Pasambas of this world, thinking that the well has been poisoned. Like you said, there's absolutely no doubt that most people disagree with how the government basically sidestepped the 2020 draft and create their own draft and remove clauses. There was no consultation. There is no process. We get that.
Yeah.
But, then there is total rejection if any changes were made. And then you have the reasonable, independent, what I call the the mature people in the room saying, you know what, there is an opportunity. Dëkk bi ñun ñëpp ñoo ko bokk. Nañ waxtaan. Suma mbokki fana yi ñu ne, when there is a problem in the village, da ngay sol sa dalla, sol sa xaftaan, sol sa mbaxana, ngeen dem ci bantaba bi o ci datt gi ngeen waxtaanee ko. Loo xam ne there are differences, you guys work around it. That's how nations are built. You don't build them by taking hardened positions. Pasamba Limo Wahni, I think not only poisoning the well, he's poisoning the conversation, undercutting the initiatives of the NHRC. And that is unfortunate. That is why
he's taking a position. But during the conversation, there was an elder gentleman that from I think it's from Bibi Dabo's party, Bolong Sonko. He was I listened to him. Though he was a man of wisdom and said, listen, this is where we are. What can we do to salvage the situation? He was very solution oriented. And I just listened, I said, yes. And even Halifa came and said, well, at least to him, he said that it is good that you have an institution like the NHRC as an interlocutor, to have this, so it actually is, I was saying to myself, well, at least, yes. It's not just a futile exercise we're doing. We really mean well. But hey, it's constitutional making is not easy. Some will want to dig a new well. Some will want to purify the well. Some will. Let's see. But we will use our. Maybe the government will. As I told you, the government will be going to Geneva in January. Up to then, who knows? And they had promised. There will be a constitution. Who knows what will happen in the next couple of weeks? We're here. We are watching keenly. And we'll be advising covertly or covertly. We will advise. And it's good that we're also listening to everybody. And it's who knows? Maybe we'll get something. You see, the thing is why we decide. You see, when the TRRC before it concluded, and if you remember, there were people who were even saying this is tissue paper. People felt that nothing will come out of it. I remember we had three convergence where we had over 100 people telling the government, this is what the victims are saying. We got the victims. We got people from South Africa. In fact, the government, I think they believe we were going too fast. I was even advised by the Mr. Joof, we think you need to mass your brakes a bit, you know. But you know, I'm an action chairperson. And I'm not saying that, but we made sure that we put the issue on the agenda, we put the TRC on the agenda. We did. And even the issue of them saying that, okay, you know what, you will now be the monitor of the implementation of those recommendations. So I really believe that we should take up causes. And the NHRC will keep on taking up causes if it is for the common good. Yes, will it succeed? I don't know. That's why I told Mr. Serian, call me a magician after. You never know. Maybe I have the magic wand, but we will try.
I like Mr. Joof, your closing remark that you can leave us with. I am with you all the way. I like your approach. I like the way you are intervening. There has to be an intervention. I hear my brother Madi Jobate. Mo pa sambo story wante wuñ. Fana it nañu wax ne ñom nañ dem ba ten ba enante. I don't know whether Mr. Joof you understand that. Pastor ak Madi, they went to the well, ñom enante ñom ñaar.
No, but Musa, before Chairman Joof comes in, just for the record, that phrase "poisoning the well," Pasamba was reiterating your position. You were the one who came up with that phrase, "poisoning the well." So I just want to make sure clarity here.
But context. What I said was context matters. What I said was, I heard Alaji Baro on Coffee Time Mune. He kept characterizing it as the APRC NPP draft. For him to say that, he's poisoning the well, because anything
is not part of
APRC
this conversation, because he's an independent, you know.
Yes.
He's trying to.
Yes, Mr. Joof has to be measured in what he says. But
yes, Mr. Joof, you are not part of this conversation. This is between Musa Gang and all. So Musa Gang is the one who said poison the well, and he says Alaji Baro. One day Alaji Baro lumwa moy diga. Here is the thing. He said, I love you. Mune APRC ne damala buga gaay ñu ne ko nobumala. Mune kañu jubo bobu nonu nak. Jubo no bobu nonu rek mune kay buga na la bubu mala kañu jubo. Jubo bobu nonu moy the speaker and deputy speaker. So affaire bi fofu la door.
No, but Sorry,
let's go, Mr.
But anyway, in our closing statement, Mr. Joof, keep doing what you're doing, and please trust me. I know that it's very difficult. People like Pasamba, dead on arrival, very pessimistic. But when I do believe, nga sol sa dalla, nga sol sa kaftan, sol sa mbahana, engage the president and say, hey, Mr. President, this is about your legacy. We need to get this thing done. Teman fong na so defe ni ak ni, we can find common ground. Do the same thing with Alaji Usainu Numukunda Dabo. Do the same thing with Khalifa Ababakar and Mama Kande. You get these people on board, I think we have a chance. Manlola Gum. Anyway, you have the last word, Chairman Joof.
Well, just to say thank you. We are all in it together. Constitutional making is never easy. But I think party politics, well, life is politics. But I think we should have the bigger picture, a Gambia where we all live in peace and harmony. You know, I'm not trying to be utopian, but we really need to fix our country. And I think the conversation should go on, and let us strive for a common ground. We are all in it together. I think that's all I would say.
Absolutely. Common ground is the key word. Common ground is what you're living with. And I like that, Mr. Joof. Again, congratulations. I think you're doing a heck of a job.
Thank you, I will say in the most explicit military term, they said, stare as she goes and stay the course. I think if you got people ping-pong you from all directions, I think you're doing something right. So all I'm just gonna say is stay the course, man. Let's I hear you loud and clear. So today, I think one thing you did was you communicate very well, and I think people just need to listen to you with an open mind. I pick up a lot of stuff from you today, having this conversation on this platform. So I'm glad you came. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Joof. Sarian, interesting
Yes.
conversation with Mr. Joof.
No, it is interesting. And I mean, as I said, you know, you have to listen to the man, what he's saying, right? He is saying not in explicit, and this is what I said, but he's also talking to us and say, hey, where they are not aligned with what they've said in the past, we go down there and remind them and say, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. So
look at this Mbaisi guy. I mean, he was last week. I mean, he was basically same thing, dead on arrival, no compromise. But after listening to the NHRC and what is in that communique, people get entangled with hardened positions.
No. I think you need to refine the position a little bit, because when you go out there, you say poison the well. The well has been poisoned a long time ago.
No.
Hold on. I listened to the clip. I listened to the clip you sent me from Peter Gomez. You on Peter's so coffee time. I listened and I was like, man, my chief strategist, my boss, what is he talking about? Well, poisoning the well. I like Ibaro saying.
Bobo.
Well been poisoned. The man already poisoned.
Madi and Alaji Baro, I thought they were not giving this whole idea of compromise a chance.
But what do you want them to compromise? I guess that's where I'm lost. Though. I mean, what do you want them to compromise?
Let's not just reject it. Let's go and make the changes like NHRC is doing. Bring back the clauses, and here goes Madi again responding to Mbaisi, which I think. Let me put it up, because when Madi speaks, we should listen. Mbaisi, I'm not against NHRC recommendation, which is which just confirms that we should go back to 2020 draft, which the NHRC recommendation did, Madi. You said, my issue is the process. We all know that. It's illegitimate. We all know that. I don't know about the unconstitutionality, because that's something else. They're coming up with a 2020 draft. Is it, I mean, was it wise for them to do that? I don't think it was wise, Madi. I get that. You know, and then you said, we must care about process. Processes are important. And not just about content or the product. Process is fundamental. The government has adopted a process that we don't have. Yeah, I mean, we all get that. The process that it was taking definitely undermined or made it very difficult to find consensus. Musa ready.
No, yeah. But he said one thing. He said one thing though. Chairman did say something. He says, he says there was a discussion, that consultation was not done, right? He didn't cite one way or the other, but he says, they came in and say this and this. But I think, yes, I think if you listen to him carefully, the reason why they came up with this meeting in the first place, they're trying to correct that error. And I think it was fundamentally flawed for the justice minister to stand out there and referencing Dr. Cisse as somebody who participated. We all know that. I mean, the Bar Association, these are folks that with very, very high legal caliber. They are very honest. And just going out there and double down and saying, oh, we did, when you actually know it didn't happen. I think that's the mistake. But I think going back to NHRC, what they are trying to correct is that piece of the puzzle, saying that, hey, we knew this was a consensus, everybody was up on the arms, but again, let's converge and have a discussion. I mean, yes, the process can be flawed, as Marty highlighted, but again, I think your after action trying to correct the error is very, very fundamental, and I think moving forward, I think all that what they highlighted in the document, I read it. That was what was removed from the 2020 draft.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also not sure. I'm not a legal person, but in all reality, are they able to bring the draft back when he failed? I mean, is that possibility? Or
the 2020 draft?
Yes.
The 2020
by the process itself.
No, I'm sure if they really wanted to bring it, If they wanted to bring it, all they had to do was, again, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm sure that there are just little things that could be done to bring it back, changes or whatever. Just what they did. Look, all they had to do was do the consultation, for instance. The consultations before
No.
bringing the 2024 draft.
I'm asking a technical question here. What I'm asking is, can they reintroduce that 2020 draft, irrespective of the contentious clauses and all that stuff?
Right.
What I'm saying, can they reintroduce that and gazette it right now? I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know the process. That's what.
I'm not a lawyer either. I don't think that would be very difficult. But again, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that would do. So fake any munga jël clauses in the 2020 draft be and just make the compromise on the 2024 draft. I mean, we will just shortcut the whole damn thing. Why would we want to go and reintroduce the Regazetted Act 2020 draft act just because of people want to feel good about it? I mean, to me, it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I think also what coach mentioned, saying let's reintroduce if what the NHRC did, the consultation, and they capture all these, because the chairman tried to play this impartial role as much, and he's very, very clear from the onset. He says all those.
Sorry, Boy Fatty. Okay, we send you the link. You want to come and talk about the failed lawsuit? Please dial in. You said you were going to come and speak your mind on this failed lawsuit. I'll send you the link. Waiting for you to dial in.
So I think what coach saying that we have to, restart. For me, if those clauses are acceptable and inserted into it, I think that check marks that position of reinventing the wheel and moving forward. So
exactly, I'm with you. I mean, coach, what coach is saying, and he said it last week, Moine, why don't we pull back the 2024 draft and then
I said that too. But what I heard from the chairman, and I also read it. If those are the main sticking points on the draft, the engagement is one thing, but the engagement has been done and these key points been captured in the document, right? So if it's inside and the National Assembly is willing to, do a first reading, the second reading, it goes to the committee stages, and they made those changes. It is what it is. It needs to move forward.
Knowing the politics of it, are you hopeful? Because
I'm hopeful.
I think it's still.
Don't ask me. I have no sway or whatsoever about this.
No. I don't mean sway. I'm just saying, because obviously,
I think people need to be Musa. I think people need to be open-minded about, as you said last week, as Mr. You said it today. It's not gonna be easy in any negotiation process. You're not gonna have everything, right? You're not gonna have everything, but at least the process of having a conversation, a dialogue, I think it started. And I think if I listen to Mr. Chairman Joof here, one way that I'm not trying to get into his head, but I think he's also speaking in very clear terms that some of the provisions that are not out, and they try to get that in. Let's give that a proper. Why can that move forward and have a debate at the first reading and second reading? And if they MPP accepted that and say, hey, it's okay, so for the compromise and all that, let's move it forward. I think people.
That would be great. But I also think that they need to do their lobbying, like he said. They need to lobby the National Assembly members. I think they need to engage even the president. Because I don't know where NPP is with all these recommendations. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that is the key. For the first one, the 2020 draft failed because they lobbied behind the scenes and tell their members to vote against it. So
I agree.
People can
totally
come in here and mala all these things, but I think if we can, it's good that I'm going to recommend, commend NHRC for the brilliant job they do. But the onus still lies on the executive. And if you have the minister go before the people, not realizing that there was a mistake, because bar associations, CSOs, also, why would they say there was no consultation when the consultation happened, right?
Yeah.
So I shake my head, him and Flex Dan going back and forth. At least be humble and say, you know what, we have a good faith in executing and having a good constitution. Yes, mistakes happen, but now let's correct it, right? How does that correction look like? But when you go out there and say it happened, there is no reason I should stand here and lie, blah 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 blah, it becomes a little personal, and I don't think this document is going to move forward with that type of position. And you can say blame on the opposite side, but you got problems within the exam. And I think the first glimpse of how this whole thing is going to look like, the justice minister standing there making that position, it's not encouraging, Musa. I mean, I might be wrong, but let's give the process a chance. And also not making it a priority, not making it a priority.
I agree.
The first reading, trying to push the date backwards too, when you're supposed to be the champion of that document, also give me a pause as well. So
see,
who knows?
And I'm reading again, Mahdi, and when Mahdi speaks, I mean, I listened to him very carefully. He said, Mbaisi, they did not accept, meaning the government did not accept the recommendation coming from the communique. And he said, I didn't hear that. And more importantly, he went on, it's not for them to accept, it's for them to adopt a genuinely legal, legitimate process. Hamga. When Mahdi sometimes fails, I think it's the communication. Again, seriously, how you communicate these kind of things, especially when you're looking for a genuine compromise, is important. If you give me the finger, like we say here in the US, and say, look, man, you're wrong, and give me a finger and say it in a certain way, I mean, you're not looking to find a compromise. There has to be a civil discourse.
Musa, I think sometimes you put too much emphasis and you get a wrap around this semantics from the Mahdis and the Paisa. That is their position. We have to respect that. No. So fake one lolu dafa digger. Who was supposed to come in and put a position pen saying that acknowledge the first place? Did the government, did the Department of what is called Minister of Justice even acknowledge that this conversation happens and there were key stakeholders who converge and key clauses where they acknowledge that, and moving forward, they look forward for an engagement with the National Assembly and all the key stakeholders. Musa, if you are a leader, you have to take certain position. If the stove is hot, you need to cool it off for a little bit. They are not doing this. This is why I'm saying. And you gotta don't take. Mahdi can say that stuff. Mahdi is entitled. He's entitled to position himself like what he wants to do, like what we were doing. We're doing a constitution building. They can speak. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Whether it's a hard line or whatever, it's okay. But what I'm trying to say is the government hasn't put out any position paper, even acknowledging this, that the convergence happened. Yes, NHRC did it, but at least you don't have to say you can acknowledge, take a leadership position on the moving forward, create this atmosphere that we're empowering everyone to come together.
Bro, and here you go, this guy again. Musa is NPP, you are entitled to blah, 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 blah. Whether Musa Jeng is NPP or not is neither here nor there. I am telling you, you guys are just deflecting the issue. It's not about that. Sol Baji Musa Jeng wants us to compromise with Barrow. Hell no. What I want is to compromise for a new constitution. It has nothing to do with, I know what Barrow's position is, and I totally disagree with their position. I don't like the 2024 draft because I do not believe.
How do you honestly justify? Honestly, hold on a second. And this is a very, very good conversation. How can you honestly, being the chief strategist, you know the head of state has a position that is obsolete and parochial in the sense that it's not in line with the aspiration of the people who voted in 2026. And he is sticking with that position due to political expediency. Now, He's the head of state, but people got to compromise and come to the table when you said you know his position. So I don't know because I hear two.
Lima Moine, my approach is very pragmatic and very practical. With all of
the president is not practical and pragmatic.
A new constitution that is good for the Gambia, that will hit the reset button. How we get there, that's when it gets a little bit complicated. Understand me? How we get there. Now, we cannot get there by imposing, whether from the president or from the opposition or any other institution. We can only get there by dialogue that we can do with civility. We cannot do that. I'm telling you, no matter how wrong the government is, no matter how, I'm telling you, crazy their position is.
No, Musa, I think in this
you're
aspect.
asking me to compromise, but what position has government taken that?
No, but that's you gotta take the fire of Madis or the semantics that you have to look it from a position. Okay, so what he's saying is, yes, what we're trying, and this is what I just said. You just mentioned that.
I am not talking about when I said, let me answer, Madi. When I said compromise, I'm not talking about compromising with the 2024 draft. What I'm saying is, let's compromise by looking at where the contentious clauses and issues are, and then find where we can all say, you know what? I think this is good. We can all compromise on this.
Yeah, but Musa, we can do all that, but we knew the issue that happened in the past, right? So what I'm trying to say, what Musa is, what I would love to see Daudas Jallo, even this consultation that happened, organized by NHRC, take a center stage and speak in clear terms. If he was traveling and all that, he should have pushed that and attend that and be the focal point and take leadership mantle on this. So I think you can say activists say this, they're poisoning the world, but where is the beef? The beef is, what I'm trying to say is,
why? You are so, now you're hanging your heart on this poisoning the world thing.
No, but because I hear you, because you know what I'm confused is. You just said in clear terms. I'm not sugarcoating. I'm not sugarcoating. I'm quoting what you just said. You said, Barrow's position. Okay, Barrow's position. No, hold on a second. Musa, there are key clauses that are removed from the 2020 draft constitution.
I know that.
Okay, hold on. Well, give me a chance, then you can rebut. No problem. You can get at it. It's all right. I got my coffee and I'm ready to go. So what really concerns me, if this guy, the president, sorry, I shouldn't call him the president of the republic, if he deeply care and passionate about dictatorship, number one, not the president have a huge control over the entire government. That's not what the Gambian people voted for, and that's not what the 2020 constitution is about, right? So if he deeply cares as a matter of principle and compromise, why couldn't at least, the justice minister was not there, but the solicitor general was there. Musa, I think what you're gonna say is, you said this in Fana, and I think it goes the way back again. The people, especially the government, should have taken a position and acknowledged that there was a conference and this key position, and they look forward.
You are dwelling on the past, and I'm not saying we shouldn't.
No, I'm not dwelling on the past day.
Hold on.
I'm not dwelling on. I'm speaking in real time. What needs to happen? Okay, go ahead.
Allow me to rebut.
Okay.
What the Attorney General said to defend the 2024 draft, what could have, the consultation that should have been done, could have, would have. I get that. What's done is done and cannot be undone. That was Macbeth, I believe. So we passed that. They did it the wrong way. The process was done the wrong way. Why finneka falenneka legi? My question is, let's be futuristic. How can we salvage a new constitution and bring it about? Man, that's all I am saying. And in order to salvage, and I'm glad my brother Mbaisi, because he was taught a different language.
No,
He
don't
looks
dwell
like a
on
very
what
reasonable
Mbaisi is
person.
saying. Yaw dang they
He said-
read. Every time you read Mbaisi Wahnali. What we are saying is in real time. In real time. No, hold on a second. Hold on. I think Musa. And we are speaking in the same like you are saying compromise. Right? And no, I understand. Even though they fail to acknowledge. No, hold on a second. But what I'm trying to say is, you are telling us to compromise. But why the person, the people, the key stakeholder, the customers are not doing much to help with this conversation to move it forward? You are so I don't know, man, bamboozled. Let me use this word, bamboozled with the coach Sapa Samba Jows, the Mari Joao Jobal, the Alaji Barrows saying that stuff, but they have the right to say it. And I didn't see anything that they misrepresent. So because I was laughing, man, when he says poison, I said, where is Father Moose going with it? Because the well has been poisoned. Why you boom deme be kanilai? Guy ne am close door meeting ne guy ne the bugalala bugumala munelen lolu jaru cho dama ñew be kanilay bu ma ñewé be kanilay ma toga yeen sila affaire bi doré mo may Babakari Tombo Njata ak Sidi Njai speaker ak deputy speaker lolu moy wax bi nañ waxante dégg Musa nañ bay di lam
you gotta kill me today.
dégg la
Pop Samba.
You know, Sarian, you are right. The fact of the matter here is Musa has a right to his opinion. Nobody has a problem with that. If he and other people feel that they have to compromise all they want, other Gambians also have a right to say, you know what, hell no, we are not compromising on this matter. And I maintain my position that this constitution is dead on arrival for the right reason. Because of this well was not poisoned by anyone speaking out there. It was poisoned by Adama Barrow and all these things. And you know, you're talking about dwelling in the past. You cannot isolate the past from this. The moment Adama Barrow reneged on his promise for 3 years was when he became a problem to the constitution building process. Because everything he does, he looks at himself. So as far as I'm concerned, hey, the National Human Rights Commission, do what you gotta do. But but then why are you so worried about our opinions? We are not stakeholders. And of course, we are citizens. We have a right to our opinion. This constitution was built to benefit one person and one person only, that is Adama Barrow. That's it. So to tell us, 50 plus one and this thing, you know what? We can live without it for another 10 years. I don't care.
No, your homeboy said 100 years. That's money.
That's fine too, Musa. But let me ask you a question, Musa. With all Sawahdi, are you comfortable with Adama Barrow being president for another additional 5 years or 10 years? Are you?
Pasama, I don't know whether...
No. Do you just answer my question?
I'm going to answer that question. Because...
Man, my time is very limited.
No, I'm not. Because before you came, I asked that question to Chairman Joof. Maneko, the communique that I read, what was visibly absent, Moine, you guys did not deal with the retroactive clause. Teman, I think that is the big elephant in the room. To answer your question, do I want to see Adama Barrow run in 2026 and run in 2031? Hell no. That is why I want to find a compromise whereby even if he runs in 2026, he will not be able to run in 2031. That is my position.
But how are you going to achieve that?
Money. Man, to me, I hope that during this compromise in the National Assembly, something can be put in. I'm not a legal guy. That would at least make it clear, the man will not be able to run in 2031. If the retroactive clause can be injected in this 2024 drive as a compromise, I would like that.
But
Because
let me
I
ask
do
you a
not want
question though. Let me ask you a question though. The retroactive draft that made the 2020 fail because it failed on one account only. Adam Barrow was not going to be able to run after this thing. What makes you think that is going to be there
no,
again?
man, what I think, I'm going to a question. Would you want, what is your, and I answered it.
So Lumala Moy, let me tell you this, Musa.
I answered the question. I don't know what you want me to say. Whether it will fail
Okay.
or not fail, that is going
Let
to come down. Hold on.
Let me tell you.
Let me finish. Pazama, be like, yo, you know my position more than anything else. Honest to God. You know, I do not want Adam Barrow. Left to me alone, if Adam Barrow could have said, you know what? I have served this 10 years. In fact, I'm not even going to run in 2026. To leave a legacy, the 2026 elections, for Gambians to vote for whoever they want in a new constitution, that would be my ideal position. Man lolu la buga. But man lima buga. It's not necessarily what is going to happen. That is why I said, let's strike a compromise and find something. So you ain't impose your lega buga rek.
But
Musa,
nobody is imposing other than Adam Barrow. No. Here is the thing,
though. You are like that. You like to come.
No. Have Limon as a problem. No, Limon as a problem. You can talk about your opinion, but that's not imposition. When I talk about
he's not imposing anything, sir.
The only person that is imposing what he wants in this process is Adam Barrow and Adam Barrow alone. That's why they rejected the 2020 draft, and that is why they came up with this ridiculous 2024 draft. No. Now I'm expanding on your answer. I am responding to your answer. Nay, when I make a statement, I am imposing. When you make one, you're not imposing. You are the reasonable guy. Man, I am the crazy guy who is imposing. No, all I'm doing as a citizen, whose rights are guaranteed by Section 25 by the Constitution. But anyway, I gotta go because they're calling me. But what I'm saying, if there is any imposition, it is Adam Barrow and who is trying to impose his will on the Gambian people. And you are ready. You are ready to accept that imposition in the name of let's compromise. Goodbye.
After the answer I've given you, if you're still sticking there, I am ready, then you are not fair. That is why I said
I choose you are fair for characterizing my position as crazy and imposition. Thank you. Goodbye.
I think it's time. It's time for him. That's the desire. If your Minister of Finance is going before the National Assembly and saying Gambia is debt distressed, it's a problem, Musa. You see, it is. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. It's not difficult, but I think where I see where Mahdi is talking about the fact, they're not still taking a leadership. You can do this. Why do you think the NHRC came up with this meeting in the first place? Because they are correcting an error. You can correct that. It's no problem. But I think the leadership position and moving the conversation forward has to begin with the arm of the government, which is Minister of Justice. And I think they are dragging a cold feet all over this. And until the minister clear his position, maybe you need to reach out to the minister, have him come in here and we can have a discussion, because NHRC already talked about it. All I hear is more of the same thing when he had that press conference. And I don't think folks, that's not, as you said, that's not where people are at. People are at a current state of our affairs, which is the government overspend, it's inefficient and all that, and they are overspending. You listen to the thing, go back and listen to Sidi himself. He's talking to the National Assembly. Oh my God, it's out of control.
I watch Sidi's at the National Assembly and also on the branch. And I'm again, some people think that Sidi is the worst finance minister. I personally believe Zainab Munemusajeng Dimbaleng. Zainab, I don't know if you've never Juboning. But and Musajeng Dimbaleng. Zainab man for one and Juboning Finagade. But anyway, bro, but just to kind of get off this thing.
No, you listen to. I want to hear you. You said you were talking
Oh,
about
I
CD
listened
Kidder.
to
So
CD on the brunch. I don't know whether you listened. You watched the brunch yesterday.
I watch him. I
Yeah.
follow him very closely. Yes.
Yeah, I was very impressed really with the way he explained the breakdown of the budget. I like City personally. I think his heart is in the right place, and I'm not one of those that think that the guy is just out there. Listening to him, I think he said things that I'm very impressed with, especially when it comes to the asset recycling, and in his breakdown of the budget. And I seriously, in fact, I even wanted to bring him in after obviously his speech at the National Assembly, because we haven't heard him since he put out the 2025 draft, because the question that I wanted to ask, that is, if he can even bring director of budget so that we can see what are some of the assumptions, the allocation that every year we raise it. We say, why are you guys spending so much money on traveling? Why are you guys spending so much, especially if this is supposed to be, I mean, and if this is supposed to be, trying to fight a balanced budget, why would you spend so much money? Why not a moratorium and this and that? So that's where I wanted to shift the conversation. But
Yeah.
again,
No. As you said, I listened to CD very, very closely. I watched the entire clip with his exchange, and here is the thing. Sometimes I've said this through with Mr. Joof. My dad always said this. He says, "Kumo akalamoe labukadomo," right?
Mhm.
So when CD is talking, this is a guy, this is the minister who said, he's on the record. He says, even he took on the minister of health. He says, we never see their revenue. So he explained a little bit about the subversion and the difference, the complaints that they are taking to the National Assembly and saying that the government is not sponsoring our projects. They are not giving us the money. And he says, hey, what we need to do is close the gap.
Mhm.
What does their revenue look like? What is their expense looks like? If there is a shortfall, that's where the government comes into play and top off, and he used this exact word. He says top off, right? And I think we all understand. But what he's trying to say here there is do something about it, right?
Mhm.
We have a shortfall, and he goes into explaining some of the issues that in his ministry, and I think again, I really don't think he's incompetent. I disagree with that type of notion and all that. I mean, if you understand, I don't know CD very, but CD's classmates and all that, I knew them. They are my neighbors here, and these are very, very level-headed people. And I know the wife too, so I never met CD in person. So, but what he's trying to say is, I mean, he holds position in the past. The fact that we have a systematic issues and we have problems, we have to correct it, and I think that correction lies with everyone, especially the National Assembly, who is the court. And I think on coffee time, I listen to him. I tend to disagree on the president's mid the farmers budget, where he says he's mandated constitutionally to travel, right, to do his mid the farmers tour. Peter asked him about the 50 million. Why couldn't it be half of that, considering all the issues that we're facing as a country? And he says, well, he's constitutionally mandated. How about if he decide to go uh, another tour? Where is the money coming from? Well, that means he needs to have a plan. He doesn't need to go anywhere. Maybe he needs to improvise how to meet people, maybe at the MPPB or at a rally in the metro area. So I don't think
So
if you
let me
if
let me just respond to that. And this is what CD said. He's a minister of finance. CD does not advise the president whether he should do 2 mid the farmer store or 3 mid the farmer store. What CD said was, look, this is constitutionally mandated for the president during the year to go to the to go to the provinces twice and meet the people. Whether that is fair or not, I get that. Like you, I wish it could be totally overhauled. We don't really need that, and find a cheaper way of doing it. I agree to that. But what Sidi is saying, as a finance minister, if this is a constitutionally mandated to be done, I can only budget based on that key Lila Waradef. If he doesn't do it, then we're not going to spend the 50 million. I'm going to budget 50 million because that is how much it's going to cost for the president to visit, to meet the people twice in the year. As a finance minister, that's all you can do. Budget based on the plans. Now, if he actually only goes once or less, then we don't have to spend 50 million. Now, is Sidi the guy who should go to the president and say, you know what, Mr. President? And maybe he is. I don't know. You tell me that, Mr. President, you know what? Based on our financial...
No, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I just want to push back on that notion a little bit. Just go ahead and finish. No, go ahead, finish.
That was Sidi's response. Look, man, I'm only going to budget based on what plans do they have in place. Now, are the plans political? Maybe they're political. I mean, nobody's going to sit here and say mid the farmers store is not political. Of course it's political. What we need to do is to remove it from the constitution, period. Or find a leader, even if it is in the constitution, who say, you know what? The fact may, clearly this country, economically, we're in trouble. I am going to find a way to still meet the constitutionally mandated tour without having to spend all the money. A good leader would do that. But as far as Sidi is concerned, he's going to budget based on, the president meeting the people twice in the year. Reasonably. Any finance minister would do that. Any person who works on budget will do that. Seriously. I wouldn't blame Sidi for that.
No, I'm not. I'm not blaming. It's just that I think I disagree with that stand and that explanation, because especially if the minister himself say, "Oh, the country, debt distress." What does that mean, Musa? Literally, what does that mean? I mean, let's break it down for what it means.
No. Again, this is somebody who is very transparent, saying, "Look, we're debt distressed because all you have to do is look at the debt portfolio, how much we owe people out there." And
it takes a lot of courage.
This budget itself, he's saying that we're spending $11 billion pay interest on those loans. And that 11 billion, it could be even, if you take 2, 3, 4 ministers put together, their allocation that we're paying servicing these loans is more than that. But now you have to put the debt. You have to also put the debt in context. Look at the debt. This is what I want to say. Most of the debt, to be honest with you, NAWEC is our biggest problem. If you go back and you look at the debt portfolio, Lichubari was in court for NAWEC, or some of these SOEs. That is why, man, I like this whole idea of privatizing or PPP, all these so-called SOEs, institutions that are supposed to, they are supposed to pay dividends, but they are not. What does that mean? Instead, we are going out there, getting loans for them, and getting loans for them that ultimately we will have to pay back servicing these loans. And you get the Saul badges of this world will tell you, look at the Senegambia bridge. Oh, they are mortgaging. Or we need to sell. Privatize all these institutions. Get it off the government's book. Get rid of Gambia Ports Authority. I like what they are doing with Deep Sea and what they are doing at Ports Authority. I like what they did with Senegambia. I hope they do the same thing for Gamtel and Gamcel. These are not assets. These are liabilities to the government. We need to get rid of them. Give it to some other people that can run it efficiently. I like the thinking coming from the ministry, especially from Sidi Keita. He believes that the country is better off if we get off all these so-called SOEs. So they won't Gamtel. You look at their balance sheet. I can guarantee you they owe more than assets they could show for it. And when that happens, you know what happens? Government is always going to step in to bail them out. Look at NAWEC. Government, they have car powership. They pay them in dollars. Senegal, Senelec, they pay them in CFA, which is pretty much paying them in euros. Where do you think that money is going to come from? They cannot pay it, so government will have to step in and pay Senelec and pay, and you know what that will do to appreciation or depreciation of the dalasi, because we don't have enough dollars or euros to pay. You see, that's why we need to get rid of these entities like
Hey,
UHC,
Musa,
somebody else.
I like your passion. I like your passion laying out a long-term strategy. But yeah, that's a long term. What are within our immediate reach that we can apply, right? So I think borrowing and chartering a flight, attending a presidential celebration in Kenya, I don't think that does any good. I really. What does that do? I get NAWEC. NAWEC, this is not the first time. They have been bailed out. But if you are doing, especially a 3-day conference that's supposed to bring high stake economic prosperity, get people interested in the smiling coast of Africa, or you went and bought vehicles, you bought vehicles, and we had this debate before. You can go back to the archive. I think it was not smart, because when you create such a venue or such an occasion, you need to show the need that our country it's in distress. We're a developing country. We don't have the resources. That's why, more importantly, the folks that are coming to that conference, we are relying on you guys to support technically, financially. Now, it wasn't said at that point that the vehicle, they gave us this number, and I think some journalists disclosed that those vehicles were purchased. Now, in this 2025 budget, now we realize that they put that amount into that budget to pay those debts. Where are those vehicles?
Yeah.
Up to today, there was absolutely Musa. This is where I think when we speak like this, I have no party affiliation. I have no freaking no bias on this. I think we need to speak in an honest tone that where we are at as a country, right? So he flies around like nobody's business. From the Meet the Farmer store, he flew to Kenya for a celebration. When you can sponsor your vice president, buy him a business class ticket with his staff and everything else to go attend that. From there, he flew to Abuja. They don't have a chartered flight. They have to rent these flights. And we know how expensive it is. So Musa, we got to put a little bit of critical thinking into this. Where are we as a country? Yes, SOE, blame the SOEs. But how much spending? They go into this defensive mode about, the GDP has growth, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to ask this, because there's a difference, the real GDP and nominal GDP growth. And I think the real GDP is what you ensure you put money into people's pocket. They have low buying powers. The economy is stabilized and all that. I would like to hear more on the minister to talk about. These are now with immediate control. Hey, across the board, we need to look at these budgets. But when you get the National Assembly here sitting down and telling us that these budgets are complicated, we cannot understand this, blah, blah, I think that's an insult onto the intelligence of Afro-Gambian people, right? So I think we have to have honest conversation as a country. Do you need to buy 100 vehicles, SUVs, for a 3-day summit? Now you are in debt. You have to pay that. Maybe those vehicles, their value has depreciated. Now, how do you justify those deals, Musa? I mean, I think these are the conversations that you're going to pay.
You're preaching to the choir, and I absolutely agree with you. Are there things that could have been done? What benefit would hosting the OIC will do for us based on Dekabi Akfin Tolu and the myriad of problems that we have? I mean, a real leader would have lived it and said, you know what? Just because of we want to look important in the Gambia, OIC being held in the Gambia when we cannot afford it, I think it's nonsensical. I'm with you on that. Couldn't we have say, you know what? We're not even interested in hosting the OIC. You talk about the president going to Kenya for independence celebration. Again, when we have our independence, presidents do come and celebrate with us. So for me, I don't have a problem with the president going to Kenya and celebrating the independence. Now, how he gets to Kenya is another thing. And this is where I would agree with you. If you're going to charter a flight from Gambia to East Africa on the other side of the coast, and it's costing us millions of dollars, then I have a problem with that. $400,000, $500,000. I don't think it's something that we can afford, and that would contribute to the depreciation of the dollar. No doubt. I agree with you totally. So the whole thing needs to be overhauled. And I do not think, like you, I don't think that Adama Barrow is the transformative leader that will make those fundamental changes. I agree with you. But man, I was responding to some of the things that the finance minister was saying. Now, look, this debt portfolio that you guys are talking about is a legacy debt. Some of it obviously came all the way back during the time of Jammeh. And then he explained that when those loans were taken, you have to look at what was the dollar, the value of the dollar at that time to the dollar. And then you look at it, what it is today. Just 10 years ago, it was like 40-something dollars to the dollar. Now, it's almost 70, it's double. So that obviously, and that's the kind of explanation that I will listen to and say, this guy is making sense. Now, where the problem comes in is, how do you pay off those loans? To do it, you have to maximize revenues, no doubt, however you're going to do it. And he explained by making sure that the efficiency of collecting, all of that, fine. But that in it alone is not enough. Then you have to look at the expense side of things. Do you need serious moratoriums on certain expenses, whereby we're spending dollars to get it? And this is where a NAWEC kind of situation. Boy, NAWEC is a big problem for the economy and for the government.
No, I get Musa, I think I get what you're saying.
These are expensive. They are not. Let me put it this way. NAWEC is not even profitable. Forget about profitability. I'm talking about NAWEC cannot even pay its bills. All right? NAWEC is purchasing power from Cash Powership and from Senelec. Mom limko jene in dollars. Then you have to come, realistically, sell it to the Gambian people. NAWEC, no mom limko jene, suko buga jaye Gambian si. Gambian si, the average person will not be able to afford it. So who comes in? The government, through subsidies, to make sure Sariyang Marong will be able to afford it. So I get that.
I get that. I get it. Trust me.
No,
I get it.
But it's important.
No. I get it. But Musa, one thing I think I disagree, and there should be a shift in thinking. Whenever it be a National Assembly member or the government officials, we got Alajimbo 2 weeks ago here preaching us about some people. Listen, budget. We do freaking budget every single day. My professor, I look at budgets every day, right? You don't come in and explain to me what it's. What I'm trying to say is it's a template. Every single year, we run into the same issue. We haven't seen it. Yes. Exactly. I listened to the finance minister. He was like, we tend to be fixated on the expense. We don't talk about the revenue.
The revenue side of things.
The revenue side. And he, you give it to him. He says there are areas whereby there is slight improvement because they cut those loopholes whereby cash payments and there's he didn't say that in explicit term, but he was saying whereby people would take those cash and put them into the pocket. We digitalize it and all that. I get all that. But what I'm not seeing, the excessive nature of some of the redundant expenses that are incorporated into the budgets. We're not seeing the cutbacks at individual ministerial levels or even the presidential office. We keep saying, oh, president, okay. But now, how can you truly justify putting 50 million? You said he's mandated, but you're having a financial distress. You got SUVs, vehicles that are, ministers and people are assigned 3 vehicles and all. I think that's where we are talking. Be reasonable. Be reasonable.
I'm with you.
Don't justify that. Okay, but you go down there, you borrow. When you borrow, your expenses out there, you are not collecting much revenue, and you get into a hole year in, year out, and that's what increases our debt portfolio. It doesn't make sense, Musa. I mean, that's what it is, man.
I'm absolutely with you. All I was responding to Moine, sometimes, I mean, listening to Finance Minister Kera, I honest to God believe if Sariang Marong was the finance minister, most likely you'll be going through the same frustration, trying to find out.
I'm not gonna go in the same frustration. No. I will hold on. I'm not. Don't task me that, because I will tell him exactly. Hold on. What I just explained to you, that's what I'm gonna explain to him. Because if he says two mandated, I will tell him Mr. President, we have a debt distressed. You cannot. If he doesn't want me, I'll pick up my bag and my shoes and the comfortable chair I have in my office, and I'm gonna say goodbye, bye, I resign. Musa, that's it.
No, I hear you. No, man, I mean, look, I'm with you. If anybody doesn't think, this is the kind of leadership that I can work under and do the things that I need to do, then you're not going to take the job. But again, coming back, NAWEC is a humongous problem. Now,
no, it is a drag. It's a drag on the economy. Yes,
that is why I believe for this NAWEC thing, I like the thinking of Nyom Sidiketa with this PPP effort. Now, I don't even think there are any investors out there that's going to come and take over NAWEC. I'm telling you, because
it can be done, Musa.
Look at what happened. Look at what happened last week. You had these people, procurement scandal of the highest order. With every problem that is going on in NAWEC, these people are telling these suppliers, all right, increase the damn thing just so that I can get a kickback. I'm telling you, that's the kind of institutions we have.
Musa, I think that is a disease embedded into a government. Make it more transparent and open. IPPs can help. Think about it, Musa. If government is hoping to help me out and work with me, build a solar plant. They keep touting about the one in Jambur. Can you think about on that coastal road right there? If there are IPPs who actually build more solar plant, 25 megawatts, 50 megawatts, and do a power purchase, long-term power purchase through the government next to a substation and will that power, these generators will be obsolete. But the reason, I said this like maybe a month or two ago, the reason they don't want to get rid of these generators because there's a kickback and there's a benefit for these people. And I tell you what, that's what you heard on that.
Definitely getting rid of those.
That's what you heard on that phone conversations, because if it's supposed to be 1.5 million, they said bill it for 3 million. We share this. I think people need to wake up on these things. Our country will be stagnant. NAWEC, what is NAWEC's base load? Meaning at the peak time, when everyone is at home, the demand, when we switch our ACs and all that stuff at home.
See,
no. What I'm trying to say, tell you here is, it's not complicated, but it needs to be efficient. You need to have someone in there. You know that Senelec, for example, during COVID, all those irrigation plants, especially in Florida areas, they sold their solar panels a lot. They purchased it. They went and built it. Half of Gambia rural area is supplied through Senelec, through solar plants.
Yeah.
They wheel it and sold. But why can we be innovative? Yes, Jambur plant is there, but if we have more through independent power producers, whereby they're going to have a long-term agreement with the government, that takes the stress off the government or NAWEC. And I think NAWEC, in terms of governance structure, I really think they can have the administrator at the top, but I think water, electricity, and transmission needs to be, segregated and run more efficiently. And see this.
I'm looking at Sol Baji. He has this obsession with whatever syndicator says, syndicator doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's like, you okay with the finance minister giving foreign investors our national security infrastructure?
He's
What
a
infrastructure?
he's a smart
You
guy.
got to lay
Trust
off
me,
this
man.
thing. We are in the 21st century. This whole idea that government is not efficient enough to run these things. For 50 years, Nunko Jame, it hasn't worked, my friend.
Yeah.
Here you have a new guy with a new thinking saying, you know what? Maybe there is another way. Why don't we try that instead of burying our head saying, oh, they're mortgaging our assets? What assets? You call Gamtel an asset? Go look at their balance sheet, whether that's an asset. You know what an asset is? You seriously know what an asset is? These companies are bankrupt. Liabilities more first in books. They cannot even,
You know
what they, no, Memade. When you work at Gamtel or Nawek, you pay, they collect income tax before you get your net pay, Sarian. All right? All their employees will contribute to their taxes. You know that these people cannot even take those taxes and either pay it to the government or even their social security contributions. They owe social security, they cannot even afford it. Why in God's name can you maintain an entity that cannot even money that they collect from their employees? Bro, this is a very complex problem. And
no, it is.
Some of these people like Sol Baji, he's burying his head saying, oh, don't sell our assets. What assets do you have? You don't have assets that are good. They're not worth a dime. Gamtel, Gamsen, Nawek, they're not worth anything. And let me tell you, it's going to come down to efficiency. Can you have, all right, this new thinking with this PPP, find investors that could bring the efficiencies that are necessary, and then government doesn't have to worry about saving or rescuing Nawek, paying $20 million to Car Power Ship, $40 million to Senelec. I think that is the way to go. It's going to take time.
So. Yeah.
But if you kept talking about, oh, they're just mortgaging our national security, is a threat to national security, that's all buncoms like
No. I think Musa, the key thing is,
I think you need to get
people,
away from that.
I was talking and I don't need to go into the details on this, but like when the person who win the election November 5th saying tariffs, our border country here jump in and say, oh, you're gonna go this way, we're gonna do this, that, blah 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 blah, right? What people don't understand is Canada, and here has a long-term relationship, and quite honestly, there's so much that the complexity. So you regulate that. That's okay. You can do that, right? So it's not a national security threat. I think inviting PPPs to have a long-term agreement and government giving them subsidies to ensure that the rates are low, right? That's what they do over here. We got 30,000. Now it will ramp up to 50,000 megawatt of wind energy built into the system, right? So and those wind.
But that's what the government is doing now.
The winds are managed by independent. They are LLC, some of the wind projects, right? So it's okay, but you have to be, you have to open doors. But if everyone is thinking about me, if they say send the bill 2 million, you said add another million, 3 million. You're not doing that. That money doesn't even benefit you. But in the long run, that's the implication that we are facing today. And I agree. And I think another key area that CD failed to explain to the National Assembly, and I don't know who managed those, but Musa, I just purchased a ticket for someone to go through Senegal. I'll look at all the charges that goes to Senegal that is embedded into that ticket. And I think, I don't know why, still now, and I count it. I count all these different charges, and it amounts to $200 and something. That goes to Senegalese government.
Correct.
Through whatever airline it is. But now they are charging us $20 to fly in there. They go down there, they collect cash. And I wanted to know why all these things. So if you're talking about revenue, Yes, corruption and all that. I get it. I think again, as for me, when I listen to CD, I don't think I think his heart is in the right place. But I think we need
I
to
think
do
so.
more
I
work.
think so. Now,
Yeah.
even if, and I can guarantee you, really, if we were to have a new leadership come 2026, which I'm praying, I can guarantee you that they will adopt this thing. Maybe changes here and there, but ultimately, that is the way to go all over the world. India, I'm telling you, these developed countries, that's what they do. And I like what some of these guys are saying. Kebal Langsane, he's right. For 60 years, we have this NTC, GPMB, Agricultural Bank, blah, 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 blah. All failures. It never worked. It has always been a burden to the government. I mean, nobody can kind of overlook that. Alhamdulillah, government, they don't have the efficiencies to run some of these institutions. Musuda muna am ferry bi nga gis ni su fekkone ne was owned by some investor, I can guarantee you, Sariang, it'll be much more efficient. And no, but lolo moy dega bi. That is the
No,
truth.
no. I can trust me. I'm
When you
with
have
you
this
on
some
this
guy
one.
this man for say Jawara has been doing it, man, Saul, give me a break. I mean, these institutions, they did not even work during the time of Jawara. So for you
But
to think
Musa,
with this nostalgia, thinking that somehow these were
Musa, the problem. Yeah, I think everyone needs to diagnose, and I think sometimes, even the party that wanted to succeed the government don't do this explanation very, very well. We have a systematic problem, and it's ingrained into the system. To uproot it, it will take resilience, integrity, and a strong backbone to push against the status quo. One key thing that people always talking about, private sector, private sector. Yes, private sector is the engine of the economy. But now let's think about what is the private sector? How do they feel in the current stream of things right now? Are they able to get loans, outside at a very competitive rate? Is the government creating that environment for them to thrive in a surviving economy? And then I think these are saying, government is saying we give 10 million to these whatever they for them to do rise, blah blah. How do you restructure that rather than handing a check directly to those people? You can be an intermediate or in the back, but have someone who's going to hold these folks accountable, and there's some type of structure to ensure that there is efficiency and the dividends are paid out. And I don't think, because this whole thing goes back to corruption. In for me, I'm gonna strangle, you know, the government until they are dead, and our debt portfolio keep increasing. And these are conversations. It's hard, but I think at this point we need to have these conversations. What would it take to charter a flight, flying around, from one end to another? These are bills that comes back to taxpayers, right? So and if your debt portfolio has increased and you are not, and I listen to him, it doesn't seem like what we are collecting is able to service the expenses coming from our institutions directly. There is a deficient. So that's why they rely on donors and all that. And donors now, they wanted to move away. They also wanted to hold folks accountable. They wanted to see policy documentation that if they give certain amount, they want this to be put into good year. But if they hear rampant corruption, all these things, I think it doesn't help. And I think that's where the distress is coming from, because they were giving and now they got wise and say, oh, no, we're not doing this anymore. It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem. And
Well,
yeah,
ñu ne lu jeex naka lu doy lu doy du
yeah,
dañ koy dañ koy
I
dugal
think it's a
beneen
good one
yoon.
today. You did very well. You did
Always,
very well.
always. No, but
I,
Sariang, really, I mean, when everything is said and done, mooy ne ñun ñëpp recognize nañ ne these are very complex problems, and we are obviously going to need the kind of leadership that are willing to
yeah, NHA,
accept. The problem.
I like Saul. He says the U.S. will never contract their energy structure to China.
But what Saul felt, look, Saul is burying his head.
I don't want to go into detail, but most of the hardware. I'm gonna leave it alone. Let's move forward.
It's coming from China. No, look, really.
The hardware. No. Hold on a second. The hardware,
all these
software,
emerging economies,
and the items that are put together to build these structures came from. I'm just gonna say that.
Sariang, there are best practices that are out there. There is a reason why this PPP phenomena is becoming very popular. The West has been doing it for a long time. Where you live in Seattle, I mean, your utility company is not government. Man, where I live here in Atlanta, there are almost 2-3 utility companies. You have Georgia Power, you have Greystone, you have some cities, even cities of College Park. Government does not even get into that because government is not efficient enough to run these institutions. So you
be careful saying that the government doesn't. For mine, it's considered federal, but the government plays part, and I cannot discuss that. But like what I'm trying to say is we work together. They do a bulk power purchase at a very, very discounted rate. And the government gives subsidies on certain to offset the high cost passed on to consumers.
Look, government is spending, utilities as it is right now, is subsidizing it to the end user. What the average guy from Kauri is paying in electricity, government is paying a good chunk of that amount so that person can afford it. So are people in the greater Banjul area. So what I'm saying is government is spending money to carry NAWEC. So the PPP, and Malik Jai is saying that. I don't even think there are any investors out there that are willing to come and take over NAWEC. You know why? If they look at their balance sheet, then you're going to, oops, I'm not going to take over this. It's a mess. It's not an asset anymore. It's a liability.
It can be done. That's why I asked this question. What is their max?
It's like when you're selling a house, you have to renovate it nicely. You have to paint it. You have to give it all the good looks so that people can buy it. NAWEC is in a bad shape. Unless and until something is done. And I don't know whether you have a total overhaul or you have a government that is willing, because sometimes you need to be yomba. There are political ramifications. A government that is willing to come and do what is necessary to clean up NAWEC. I can guarantee you, we're still going to be having this.
Musa, I think it can be done. I really think.
I'm not saying it cannot be done there.
No. Here's the thing: if we gotta do the root cause of, what is their base load at the peak time, right? Where everyone flip all their switches at the given time. You average that, over a year or so, and then you create, as it stands right now. I don't know. They're talking about the OMVG project. I get that, but they don't have reserve capacity. And I watched Nani himself say this. And reserve capacity is very, very important, meaning that if you have 10 generators on a line to supply one, you reserve one, so in case one goes down, you flip the switch to get the other one online immediately to supply that load that the other one cannot provide. They don't do that. They don't have it. So I think there is a problem. The problem that they had is deep, and definitely they got to work. You have to, I think there are investors, if they do the right channel and thinking more or less of themselves and what goes into their pocket, and say, it needs to be open and transparent.
Open and transparent. I think that is going to be the closing remark and the watchword, my brother. Open and transparent.
The Baribunka guy might even be interested, man, to put his head in there and do a bit on the IPPs.
Maybe I need to do a little bit of lobbying with the Dr. Barrow, the builder. and see how we can bring in the Badibunta guy with his power generation expertise. And,
No,
help
I want to be an IPP. I want to sign a contract. I want to go through the bidding process, very open, and I want to meet the requirement. If I'm selected, fine. If I'm not selected,
as long as they say I'm the NPP mouthpiece, I don't know when I became that. Maybe. But brother man, it's been good talk, and we thank obviously Emanuel Joof, and I'm praying, Mr. Joof, so that you're successful. But like I said, don't stop just going to the National Assembly. I think you need to talk to the stakeholders. You need to have an appointment with the president and tell him how important this is to his legacy.
I agree with Malik.
Yeah.
No, Malik is saying that we need to diversify our portfolio. That's what I was trying to.
He's right on the money. I mean, we all agree to that. But I think for us to be able to do that, I think something needs to be done with NAWEC. The structure as it is, I'm telling you, it's just not going to work.
And it starts with the governance structure.
Absolutely. But not the governance, the leadership. You have
that falls under the governance hierarchy. So you got the administrator, you got the NAWEC, the water and electricity, but you have to distinguish the power generation and transmission. And in fact, here, hold on. You know one thing here. If you're on the power side and transmission side, and you are responsible for the day-to-day, the system and all that, these people. They are limited what they can disclose to each other. I'm just letting you know that is really, really here. I mean, it is. And you cannot violate those because you talk on a recorded line.
What other people are saying, actually, our problem is more on the distribution side, the transmission lines. They've been saying that. So they're saying that thing has to be fixed. Because I was listening to the minister. When you buy from Senelec or Cash Powership, you buy, let's say, you promise to buy 100, I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, megawatts.
Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what that's where you're committed to buy.
Yeah.
There's no if or buts about it. So if you don't have transmission lines that can generate that 100 million, it doesn't matter what you do, you're still gonna pay 100 million, whilst where your ATREC more reach the end user. All that other 20, you lose it because of your transmission line. Manala, ni bana problem bu rëy lañ am. That is why no government deal affaire and give it make it somebody else's problem. And then they will invest the necessary capital to fix those transmission lines and make sure that the end user now.
And Musa, I think you said something here which is important, right? So it is that negotiation in the contract, right? So we call that here buyback, right? So
buyback, yeah.
You have these contracts saying 100 megawatts farm generation, no matter what, we gonna supply with that. Now we have force majeure, which is national disaster, all that stuff that happens. Transmission line goes because of fire. You happen.
Correct.
But you have to negotiate that. Now, if at that given time we make calculations, you were able to only deliver 80 megawatts. The contract is saying 100 megawatts, but we're only able to take in 80. We are not able to take 20 due to our transmission line outages or fire, blah, blah. How do we solve that? Because we don't want to be built on something that you did not deliver. You follow my logic?
I follow you.
You negotiate, right?
Yeah.
So you negotiate. Can we send that back at some? Then you do a calculation. There's sheets that you calculate on those. You aggregate that. Now there will be time whereby Senegal, for example, they could not deliver on their 100 megawatts at a certain this happens if you're in the business. So their line might go out, and you said, okay, now we had this on certain days. You do your calculation, and you say, can we do a buyback? Then you have a more negotiation power. If they are selling it for And at this point, I don't even know how much they are buying megawatts power, but you know,
No.
I don't know
Yeah.
that. So you do your little math, and you send it back, and it kind of upsets the law. And I don't know whether they do that or not. I don't know
where the problem. You know where the problem lies.
I don't know.
Your orientation is what is happening, let's say in Seattle or in Vancouver, and how it's done, and the contracts. And yeah, you're right. But this one, when they buy the 100 megawatts, the 20, they're losing it because of transmission lines.
No, Musa. It's in line with the 21st century. Trust me. I'm telling you right now. I just can't go into the details on that. What I'm telling you is not only about Seattle. It is not. I'm not in Seattle. But what I'm trying to say is, if you are a power generation entity and you had a contract, a long term, these megawatts are called firm. Right, they certain time they're gonna deliver it. There's gonna be stream flow. You have a issue. You have to negotiate. How about whereby if our transmission lines are down for maintenance, or there is fire, or there is issues.
No, like,
and hold on a second. Even 100 megawatts, and at a given time we're only able to take 50. What are we gonna do with another 50? Then there's a math involved in these things. I mean, this is very, very clear if you want to look up, and that's where all the efficiency and all that stuff comes into. But we'll leave that, and you need to probably try as much as possible. Either invite the NAWEC person, and I think Gambians will learn a lot about this transmission business, how it's all, and how we need to move forward on these things. And I think it's a great conversation.
Look, I'm with you. Now we all recognize that now it is a disaster, is a problem, not only for the end user, but also for the government. And as an institution, again, to remind people like Solbagi thinking that we are mortgaging our assets, I don't think we are mortgaging them. I think we have to be creative, to think outside of the box. There are a lot of different kind of project financing that is out there that the country needs to be open to it, and that is what CDK.
I think this is not mortgaging. I mean, if you think it's a nag, give it to someone who can run it.
Listen to Dr. Gajigo. He's not poo-pooing against the idea. His issue, moine, when we negotiate, we're not negotiating ultimately protecting our interest. That's where the problem is. Whether it's Dr. Gajigo or Dr. Mane, because I listen to them on Fatu Network. Fatu Kirfatu. So again, Saul, this is not about mortgaging.
Okay, Musa, dama yaga fin in daw si fum nekani. Daw si fum nekani dafa toga yahos busaf fum nekani dal manko hen.
Barisarian. Everybody is saying that. Salera ibi. I mean, even your wardrobe, everything has changed.
And
people are like, what is going on?
Go listen.
What is going on? Something has happened to my man. I'm not only that. We used to be on the phone for an hour or two talking nothing but politics. My friend is like, in the badatale.
No. Hold on.
In the badatale. This was just killing me with no end of pontification.
Dega so say lunde one keba fala kuma si maya dua. Dega bubuno.
Ndama wo ngombe.
Imomoi.
Ndama wo moide.
Keba fala kuma si maya dua yo degulolo.
Gaine mak, I know keba. Mak hamna sohlam. No?
Fumnekani hamga Henry Gomez lumde wa dahi sipa mahoma. Fumnekani after be manko hen yo.
You can smell it now.
Yo hosla toga te fumnekani da hamga dangde ew ali. So fo nga ñew dal milanze lolu. So lolu la jena topato fumnekani dal. Contract be from Negani Daniel close one.
So, Brother Marong, it was a good one.
All right,
we will be back,
thank you.
Inshallah, with the help of God Almighty. We will be back talking about the same issue. Right. Thank you very much, my friend. It was a good one.
All right,
man.